I became a planet. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Complete Defeat. If surrounded by such a large number of aliens, even the strengthened Lu Liang might not be able to withstand it. Countless fireballs fell from the sky and hit the dense group of aliens. After countless rumbling sounds, countless aliens were roasted and lost their lives. Lu Liang looked up and saw that at this critical moment, the lava dragon that covered the sky and the sun finally arrived. Countless fireballs fell from the sky, blowing the alien group upside down. The alien Star Soul clone hiding in the cave was also full of disbelief at this moment. Obviously, the Star Soul ability has been disrupted. Why can this person still use the power of the planet? But after he used the alien's vision, he found that the power that caused the alien's hands and feet to be disrupted was not from the Star Soul, but from the countless huge creatures in the sky that covered the sky and the sun. These creatures flying in the air have such a huge body and a pair of wide wings that give them the ability to fly. And these flying creatures can also accumulate power in their mouths. As the power becomes stronger and stronger, they open their mouths wide, and then a fireball filled with unstable power hits the alien group on the ground. The incarnation of the alien Star Soul was dumbfounded. He never thought that the planet in front of him would evolve into a powerful energy creature in this period of time. In theory, energy creatures can only be born on pure energy planets. Compared with material planets, the cores of these energy planets are also sufficient in energy and may even be dozens of times that of ordinary material planets. In his eyes, the creatures flying in the sky are obviously not pure energy creatures, nor do they come from pure energy planets. But their bright hearts and the energy balls spewing out of their mouths are obviously the most basic characteristics of energy creatures. There are very few energy planets like that in the universe, and this one can be seen as a material planet at a glance. How could it be possible to give birth to powerful energy creatures? This alien Star Soul didn't know that. Since Lu Li was born, he had never leaked any energy according to his instinct. It was natural for him to develop energy creatures after accumulating to this extent. Compared to those planetary souls who don't know how to make steady progress, the power of his planet's core is naturally countless times that of others. Impossible. The surface of this planet is obviously developing humanoid creatures, and it should be taking the intellectual technology route. Why do there exist creatures with strong bodies and energy attack methods at the same time? The alien Star Soul had an illusion that the knowledge of billions of years was not enough. He couldn't understand why such a broken planet could have creatures with two development routes at the same time, and the two creatures were both highly evolved. This was outrageous. Wouldn't they compete for territory and lead to war? In addition, the Star Souls of this planet have all transformed into humans. Are humans not considered the overlords of this planet? The alien Star Soul's head was filled with countless question marks, but no one answered his doubts at this time. The war outside the cave has already started. Kill all these ghosts. Lu Liang found a high slope and pointed to the cave not far away. Countless dragons were flying in the sky, spitting out fireballs containing huge energy, bombarding the aliens who had no power to fight back. Some dragons seemed to feel that this was not very satisfying. After spitting out the stored energy, they swooped down directly and plunged into the alien group, using their hard and sharp claws and terrifying mouths to slaughter the aliens crazily. The aliens who were so arrogant in front of humans were so fragile in front of the dragons. Only a few aliens with a body size of about 5 or 6 meters could barely compete with the dragons. Since Lu Liang found a high slope, he was inevitably surrounded by aliens at this time. The nearby aliens got the signal and obviously knew that he was the leader of the dragons, so they naturally wanted to kill him first. In this way, the aliens pounced on him and then piled up on Lu Liang's body layer by layer. From a distance, it looked like a small black hill. Get out of here. A roar came from the hill. This was Lu Liang, who was being held down by countless aliens. His body then burst out with a huge force, blowing away all the aliens that surrounded him. Get out. I don't have time to waste time with you little minions. Lu Liang jumped high, and it seemed that a giant dragon in the sky had learned his idea. A giant dragon that was 6 or 7 meters long swooped down to the ground and flew to Lu Liang's feet the moment Lu Liang jumped. Then Lu Liang stood safely on the back of the giant dragon. In order to satisfy Lu Liang's evil taste, he had evolved dragon horns that were useless for the giant dragons. But he never expected that the dragon horns would come in handy at this time. That's right, Lu Liang relied on holding the dragon horns tightly to ride steadily. Before he could speak, the giant dragon understood his idea, spread its wings in the sky, and flew straight towards the cave. And they didn't even look at the large group of aliens outside the cave. The dragons finally finished spewing out energy, and they all landed on the ground to fight with the aliens. Their huge bodies were full of powerful strength, and they swept their claws and knocked down a group of them. And when they opened their big mouths, they directly exploded the alien's head. As for the blood corrosion of the aliens? Haha, just kidding. It doesn't exist at all. These lava dragons can bathe in magma. The battle can be regarded as a one-sided massacre. If it weren't for the number and speed of the aliens, the victory or defeat would have been decided quickly. But now, the aliens seem to have mastered the key points of fighting with the dragons. One by one, they took advantage of the speed and circled around the dragons. It seems that it will take some time to deal with these aliens completely. Lu Liang rode the dragon to the entrance of the cave. The entrance of this cave is very narrow, only 4 or 5 meters high. Even the aliens, who are a little taller, can hardly enter upright. The dragons, which are generally 5 or 6 meters in size, would not be able to use their fists and feet, even if they entered the cave. So this is why Lu Liang did not transform into a dragon. If he wanted to enter the cave and have the strength to fight, he could only maintain his human body. Similarly, in this narrow passage, there would definitely not be too many aliens that could besiege Lu Liang. If there were fewer, they would not be Lu Liang's opponents at all, and if there were more, the passage would definitely be crowded, which would not make much difference to Lu Liang. In this way, after being strengthened, Lu Liang pushed all the way into the cave. The cave was full of bloody and disgusting smells, and occasionally, human remains left by aliens could be seen. Seeing this, Lu Liang was even more angry. He clenched his fists and blasted the head of the alien in front of him with one punch, then accelerated and continued to walk deeper into the cave. He wanted to pull out the incarnation of the alien star soul and then slam his dog head. Chapter 27 Dragon Form. The path in the cave was very tortuous. As Lu Liang walked down, he finally came to a place where the alien ovaries were stored. This cave was about 1,000 meters deep, and he had only walked halfway so far. And this was just one of the alien egg chambers in this cave. There must be more underneath. The stench emanating from the cave made Lu Liang very uncomfortable. After sensing the human breath, the alien eggs became active, and even some of those closer to Lu Liang were slowly cracking. Whoosh! An extremely flexible alien larva attacked Lu Liang quickly according to its instinct, and it seemed that it wanted to hug Lu Liang's face and then parasitize in his body. Get lost! Lu Liang grabbed the flying larva in his hand with a look of disgust. With a puff, Lu Liang used a little force and crushed this guy. At the same time, his feet were not idle, and all the alien larvae that wanted to crawl on him on the ground were crushed into mud. When Lu Liang was enjoying these alien larvae, a huge body squeezed in from the entrance of the egg chamber. After squeezing in, it looked about 5 or 6 meters tall when standing upright. He just stood there and looked down at Lu Liang, a tiny human. It was the alien queen. The entrance of this ovary was relatively narrow, but in order to store the alien eggs and facilitate the actions of the alien queen, the egg chamber was opened up very spaciously. Fortunately, the egg chamber was relatively wide, otherwise it would be difficult for the alien queen to come in and confront Lu Liang. At this time, the huge queen was threatening Lu Liang with her mouth wide open. Because of her body, Lu Liang did feel the tricky pressure. The last time he faced the pressure of a huge body was when he faced the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Obviously, although this alien queen was not as big as the previous Tyrannosaurus Rex, its body structure and cell strength must have far surpassed that of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Lu Liang didn't even have to doubt that even an individual as strong as the Tyrannosaurus Rex would only become food when facing this alien queen. The alien queen dragged her huge body at this moment, and in Lu Liang's eyes, she attacked Lu Liang at a slow speed. The slowness that Lu Liang felt was not really slow, but after being strengthened, he saw more carefully and clearly. In fact, the alien queen rushed to Lu Liang in 2 steps. Compared with smaller aliens, the alien queen's sensitivity and speed were somewhat reduced, but its strength was definitely several times, or even dozens of times, that of ordinary aliens. The huge claws slapped down on the head, making a loud noise. Lu Liang looked back at the place where he had just stood, and a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. There was a huge claw mark in that place. There was no need to think too much. Even if his human body had evolved to this level, if he was hit by such a slap, he would definitely be close to death. Fortunately, Lu Liang had the advantage of speed at this time. He used his speed advantage to deal with the alien queen in front of him, and when the alien queen dodged under his feet, he found an opportunity to go around the alien queen's back. Die. Lu Liang suddenly jumped high and then punched the alien queen's neck. Bang. This punch was very strong. Even the alien queen, whose body was extremely good, was staggered several steps by this punch. But she soon stabilized her body, then turned around and slapped Lu Liang with her backhand. Boil. After being strengthened, such a strong force couldn't even break the alien queen's defense. Seeing that the alien queen, who was hit hard by him, only staggered a few steps, Lu Liang was a little unbelievable. This guy's defense is too damn thick. No. I'm afraid that the human form can't break the defense, so I'd better turn into a lava dragon. Seeing the alien queen slapping again, Lu Liang knew that if he didn't switch his incarnation at this time, his incarnation would be cold. At this moment, Lu Liang's cells were changing rapidly, and then his body began to rise and grow. His hands and feet gradually turned into dragon claws, his head also expanded into a dragon's body, and a pair of flesh wings grew on his back. His image at this moment was exactly the same as the dragon outside the cave. Boom. As soon as he changed his form, he was slapped into the wall of the cave by the claw of the alien queen. Fortunately, he changed his form in time, and the dragon's cells were strong enough, so he didn't suffer too much damage. But even so, his internal organs were surging for a while. If he still maintained his human body, he would have been flattened and killed without thinking too much. In addition to the human body, the reason why Lu Liang didn't like to transform into other species was also very simple, because before he became a star soul, he was a living human being. Under the circumstances that his nature was hard to change, he would feel very uncomfortable to become any species. But not liking it doesn't mean he won't change. Just like the situation in front of him, he can't like it or not. After reacting, Lu Liang's mind moved immediately, and then a huge amount of energy was transferred from his heart to his mouth. Then, a fireball full of dangerous breath spewed out of his mouth, and flew towards the alien queen. Boom. The moment the fireball hit the alien queen, the entire egg chamber was shaken, and some gravel and soil kept falling from the top of her head. The alien queen who was hit by a fireball had already disappeared at this time. I'm afraid it was blown away by the fireball. Without a head, it naturally lost its life characteristics and died. Lu Liang flapped his wings twice in this not so spacious egg chamber, and then landed on the ground. This egg chamber seemed quite spacious when he was a human just now, but after turning into a dragon, he felt that it was not enough. It was already difficult to accommodate him crawling, and if he flew, he would probably hit the wall in 1 second. Then he continued to go deeper, and encountered other alien queens along the way, but they all had their heads smashed by Lu Liang's fireballs. The energy source of the fireballs is the heart of the dragons, which is so powerful that it can store the energy of the Earth's core. Ordinary dragons can usually spray out 3 or 5 fireballs of amazing power, but Lu Liang is different. He is the star soul and the planet itself. His power can be said to be endless. In other words, as long as he transforms into a dragon, there is no limit to the number of fireballs he can spray. He used fireballs to open the way and smashed all the aliens who dared to prevent him from going deeper. Lu Liang walked and bombed all the way, and finally came to the nest at the bottom. This nest looks as big as dozens of football fields. When he came here from the cave passage, he was also surprised. But even so, there are still countless aliens in this nest, who continue to dig down. Even with Lu Liang's arrival, they have no intention of stopping. In the middle of the nest, an alien queen was quietly standing there, closing her eyes, as if she was resting. The body of this alien queen is much larger than the ones encountered before, and it is 20 meters high. Chapter 28 found you. Lu Liang, who had transformed into a giant dragon, was much shorter than this huge alien. Strike first and gain the upper hand. Lu Liang did not hesitate at all. Feeling the huge pressure, he directly fired a fireball at the alien queen. The fireball came with a bang, but the alien queen just waved her hand, as if she had captured the attack trajectory of the fireball, and directly slapped the fireball aside. Then, the alien queen slowly opened her eyes, and stared at Lu Liang. Chaos, we can talk. That's right. The first time Lu Liang saw this alien, he confirmed his identity. He was the alien star soul that invaded. He was very familiar with this radiation and breath. And the other party was the same. After all, more than 3 billion years ago, everyone had emitted their own radiation and breath in space. Chat. You messed with my planet. What can we talk about? Lu Liang was so angry that flames burst out of his nose, and he looked very angry. These two are star souls, so they don't need any language to communicate. Radiation communication is faster than language within a short distance. I didn't mean to invade you. My life form came to this planet by accident. We just want to find a place to survive. How about you leave us a living space and we can all be safe? A cunning look flashed in the eyes of the alien star soul. He had successfully fooled a star soul on a planet with this set of rhetoric. Most of the star souls were still very simple at this time. They would only be alert to deception after experiencing it. After the star soul was deceived by him, he quickly reproduced his alien creatures. When the alien creatures developed to a certain extent, he took over the planet in one fell swoop. Then he let the aliens dig into the core of the earth, and then he used his incarnation to gradually devour the core and star soul of the planet. Now this guy's using the same trick again, and wants to use the same method to fool another star soul, that is, Lu Liang. But is Lu Liang so easy to fool? If you really count them, Lu Liang not only has more than 20 years of human experience than them, but also has all the intelligence, after he has consciousness as a star soul. In the final analysis, it is the 20 years of human experience that has brought him a lot of knowledge. At that time, the Earth had already entered the information society. What strange things and treacherous tricks had he not seen? How could Lu Liang believe the lies of this star soul when he played this trick on him? Stop talking nonsense. You killed so many of my people and creatures. I can't tolerate you, and I won't let your conspiracy succeed. Come on, die. I will destroy you all today. Hearing Lu Liang's words, the alien star soul seemed to hear a big joke. Chaos, it seems that you are determined to defeat me. The alien star soul was so angry that he laughed. Your energy creatures are very powerful. Even the alien creatures that I have carefully cultivated for 3 billion years cannot confront your energy creatures head on. But you think too highly of yourself. If my aliens hide in the underground pits and dig for the base, your energy creatures can't do anything to my aliens underground. The alien's body and soul are not as huge as the dragon's. He still has the advantage of digging the Earth's core and waiting for an opportunity to attack the star soul. Therefore, the alien star soul is not very worried about the current situation. He only needs to use the star soul power to command all the aliens to drill underground so that he can easily avoid the dragon. If the dragon dares to break into the ground while digging the Earth's core, then it is possible for the alien to parasitize on the dragon's body. In that case, it is very likely that the alien will also be able to obtain the powerful ability of the energy creature. Thinking of this, the alien star soul became even more excited. Your giant dragons dare not go underground. If I find a chance to parasitize, my aliens can plunder their genes, and then my alien creatures will evolve to be more perfect. Lu Liang just smiled coldly when he heard this. This alien star soul dared to attack the giant dragon. He was really impatient to live. He immediately flew towards the huge alien queen. Your abacus is very loud, but unfortunately you don't have such an opportunity. You will die soon. Just relying on your incarnation? The alien star soul looked at the giant dragon in front of him and almost laughed out loud. The body of this giant dragon is indeed very large, but it is only relative to ordinary aliens. The incarnation of the alien queen is dozens of times that of ordinary aliens, both in terms of body strength and personal strength. He didn't take the giant dragon incarnation of Lu Liang in front of him seriously. Heh, I wanted to talk to you more, but I didn't expect you to be so anxious to die. The alien Star Soul did not kill the weak Lu Liang incarnation in front of him immediately. Star Souls cannot be killed in this way. There is no point in killing an incarnation. The communication between Star Souls is through radiation, and the speed of radiation is even faster than the speed of light, so it is naturally the most advanced way of communication. Even in a moment, a large amount of information can be exchanged. At the moment when Lu Liang spread his wings and flew over, the alien Star Soul had already said a lot of words. Chaos, do you know? My alien creatures are almost perfect. Not only do they have powerful individual abilities, they can also parasitize into the body of any creature, and can integrate the genes of the parasite to perfect themselves again. They have infinite evolutionary potential. And your energy creatures, although they are also very powerful, if I find a chance, even if I evolve one, I can make them reproduce and evolve quickly, becoming more powerful and terrifying than they are now. How can you fight me then? Lu Liang immediately responded with a cold face. Stop talking nonsense. The alien Star Soul smiled slightly and continued to add, you are overestimating yourself. Your most powerful energy creature still can't do anything to me. If I wanted to, you would have died countless times. But if you move forward again, I will destroy your incarnation. Every time you rush over, I will destroy your incarnation once. After that, I will let my alien creatures dig into the core of the earth. At that time, I will use my incarnation to slowly erode you and devour you. The communication between the two Star Souls was only the moment when Lu Liang rushed towards the alien queen. As if he was tired of the alien queen's chattering, Lu Liang did not give any response. Next, he flew in front of the alien queen. Then a huge amount of energy surged from his body. In the unbelievable eyes of the alien queen, Lu Liang changed his incarnation again. He changed from a giant dragon of about 5 or 6 meters to Godzilla, which was even taller than the alien queen. The dragon can't defeat you, but what about now? Chapter 29, In Danger. The alien queen looked at the monster that was taller than herself, and she couldn't help but feel a deep fear in her heart. How is it possible? Just by looking at it, she could understand the deep power in it. This creature is more terrifying than a dragon. A strong body, sharp claws, thick skin, and infinite power in the body. The chaos in front of her could actually transform into its current appearance, which shows that his planet still has such a terrible creature. The alien queen felt a heavy sense of powerlessness. He knew very well that he was no match for this monster. He was a little dazed now. He had strong confidence in himself before. He thought that his creature was almost perfect and the greatest creation in this starfield. The alien creatures that he was proud of could even hunt down civilizations that were developing rapidly and had high-tech weapons. But on this planet, where civilization was still almost primitive, he actually saw several creatures that were more powerful than the aliens in a short period of time. Such a blow was not a big one for him. He failed, and all his plans for Chaos Star failed. Seeing the terrifying power accumulating in the monster's mouth, the alien Star Soul knew that it was impossible for him to survive this attack in his current physical state. Godzilla monsters absorb pure core energy all year round, and the energy erupting from his mouth is different from that of the dragon. It is not an energy fireball like the dragon, but a continuous and extremely destructive light. Puff. Lu Liang poked his head down, and the groups of aliens gathered under his feet were all melted in an instant, and even a large area of the compacted underground rock was melted. The incarnation of the alien Star Soul, the body of the alien queen, of course died in it. At this time, Lu Liang felt the power between heaven and earth again, that is, the power of the Star Soul without the imprisonment of the alien Star Soul. He can now successfully sense all the aliens on his planet. Even though they are deeply rooted in this prairie, without the interference of the alien Star Soul, Lu Liang can easily understand the gathering places and nests of these aliens. It's all over. Lu Liang looked at it and thought, and in an instant the whole grassland shook, and the alien nests and gathering places collapsed, and all the aliens and alien eggs in them were squeezed to death. Lu Liang, who had completely regained his control ability, just made such an operation, and all the aliens that harmed his planet were wiped out, and even the residue could not be found. Chaos, you are awesome, you win this time. At this time, the radiation content of the alien star soul was transmitted to Lu Liang. The incarnation of the alien star soul has died, and the communication between star souls can exceed the speed of light. So at this moment, Lu Liang received the star soul radiation from far away in space. The incarnation of the alien star soul was destroyed, but the body of the alien star soul was not harmed at all. As long as the planet is not destroyed, and the core of the earth is not dead, then the star soul cannot be destroyed, and Lu Liang is very clear about this. Lu Liang did not intend to respond to him. Since he could defeat him once, he could defeat him again a second time, when he had the ability to travel in space in the future. But the alien star soul didn't think so. Seeing that Lu Liang didn't respond, he then sent out a radiation with a vicious tone. Since I can't get it, then don't even think about it. Chaos. I will make your coordinates public. At that time, I will see if you can withstand the siege of countless star souls. Immediately, a radiation appeared in the universe and spread to the entire starfield. This radiation content contained the precise coordinates of Chaos Star, as well as various detailed information about the giant dragon, humans and Godzilla. The alien star soul. This is all the information about Lu Liang published at once. Hey, there is a little bit. This planet not only has carbon-based intelligent creatures, but also two kinds of energy creatures. And they can develop peacefully on the same planet. Hiss, what kind of deep hatred must this be, to publish such detailed information? I have to say, I'm jealous of those two energy creatures alone. I wonder how many star souls will be jealous. Oh, in the past few 100 million years, many planets have civilizations flying into the sky, and many star souls have been swallowed by others. This starfield is really getting more and more lonely. There is nothing the weak can do when they are swallowed up. This is how it is in the universe. The weak have no living space and can only become the prey of the strong. Ah, that Chaos Star looks so tempting, but it's a pity that I'm too far away. Otherwise I really want to try my luck. Fuck, Big Brother 666. Chaos Big Brother, can you teach me how you managed to cultivate so many powerful creatures? I'm just a single cell life, damn. Energy creatures, TSK, it's not bad to catch a few to study. Lu Liang no longer had the joy of defeating the alien star soul. On the contrary, he was even angrier now. He was even angrier than the aliens who were doing evil on his planet. His detailed information was actually made public by the alien star soul, which would bring him a lot of trouble. The universe is infinite and has countless planets, but the number of star souls is not that large. If you deliberately look for a planet with a star soul, such behavior is tantamount to looking for a needle in a haystack. But with detailed coordinates, it is completely different. The powerful power contained in the star soul is extremely coveted by any star soul. Even Lu Liang himself wants to find a few star souls to devour. Therefore, those other star souls with bad intentions, regardless of whether the radiation information this time is true or false, are worth taking the risk to try. After the alien star soul announced Lu Liang's coordinates, it sent radiation content again. Chaos, wait for death. Other star souls will hunt you down soon. Zuo. Alien star soul, don't be too proud. I know your coordinates. I will find you in person soon. Oh, really? Then I'll wait for you to find me, but I don't know which planet you found that I occupied. TSK, I don't know. After all, I occupy so many planets, and I have announced many of them before. Zuo you. Lu Liang was so angry that the planet changed. The coordinates of the alien star soul turned out to be fake. Lu Liang felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten shit. At this moment, the cold mechanical sound of the system sounded in Lu Liang's mind. Host, the alien star soul's return trajectory analysis is complete, and the star soul's original planetary coordinates have been accurately found. At the moment, when the alien's incarnation died, and the star soul returned to its original body, Lu Liang used the remaining biological points to analyze his trajectory. Unexpectedly, his exact coordinates could be found so quickly. Lu Liang did this at the reminder of the system at that time, and fortunately he had foresight. because the coordinates previously announced by the alien were indeed not his home planet, but a planet only about 2 light years away from him, which was more than twice as large as his own. Chapter 30 Victory Rewards. Just wait, I will find you, and devour you myself. Lu Liang and this alien star soul have already formed a feud, the kind of feud that will never end. The alien incarnation was killed by me, but it was as if nothing happened. Not only did it return to its own planet without any injury, but it also published my coordinates. It's really disgusting. Lu Liang couldn't help but complain a few words, but it was no wonder that he didn't complain. After all, he spent a lot of effort to drive away those aliens and star souls, and they just retreated without any major losses. Not to mention the labor and mental strain, just the grassland that was invaded, and the loss of population made Lu Liang very angry. The war between star souls is like this. Unless 2 star soul planets collide, it will be carried out in the form of one attacking, and the other defending. Sensing Lu Liang's endless doubts, the system began to explain patiently. The attacking party pays very little, unless it has invaded the core of the star soul, and started to devour it to death. Once the incarnation dies, it can still return to its original body, and the defending party, as its home field, has a large number of planetary creatures to protect it. It can command all creatures to defend against the enemy, and there is also a thick mantle to protect the core. One side attacks and the other side defends, which conforms to the balance of the laws of the universe. Unless the strength is very different, it is still easy for the defending party to win such a war. After learning these contents, Lu Liang made up his mind secretly. He must build a fleet that can operate in space as soon as possible, and then go to the alien planet first to devour the damn star soul. But at the moment, I'm afraid that I will have bigger and more troubles. If my coordinates are announced, there will definitely be some star souls with bad intentions coming to me. It is inevitable that a large-scale war will break out. Now on my planet, humans have just entered the agricultural society, and it is still a long way from flying into space. If I want to protect my planet during this period of time, I can only rely on the lava dragon and Godzilla for the time being. Congratulations to the host for capturing alien creatures. Hereby reward 1 million biological points. The genetic laboratory permissions have been opened. Genetic laboratory, the host can analyze the captured alien creatures, and can integrate their genes into the organisms on their own planet, to improve the organisms on their own planet, or create other organisms. The analysis of the alien life genes is complete, and the gene is named Alien. The E-level gene fragment has been analyzed. Blood corrosion. When integrated into the body of an organism, it can make its blood volume have the ability to corrode. The S-level gene fragment has been analyzed. Parasitism. When integrated into the body of an organism, it can give it the ability to parasitize, and after parasitizing the mother body, it will merge with the genes of the parasitic organism to give birth to a powerful species optimized by both. Obtained biological template. Agile hunting type organism. You can use the template to create a host protozoan similar to the template organism. Lu Liang was very depressed, but after hearing these voices from the system, he felt a lot better at this moment. The main reason is that the rewards after these wars are so good. No wonder those star souls want to plunder other people's planets. The rewards are so generous that Lu Liang wants to go to other people's planets. And now he was in a much better mood. He had one more powerful system than them, which could allow his creatures to evolve without limit. This was a huge advantage. Lu Liang didn't have to be afraid of those alien souls who wanted to invade his planet. As the first batch of souls to be born with consciousness in this star soul, even if others were stronger than him, they would not be much stronger. Besides, his system was really powerful, and he could completely cultivate more terrifying creatures by fighting and raising war. Oh, since you like to join in the fun and cause trouble, then come on. What will greet you? The greedy star souls will be more powerful Godzilla and Dragon. From the gene sequence of the alien, the system analyzed 2 gene fragments, namely blood corrosion and parasitism. The ratings of these 2 gene fragments were E-level and S-level, which was the ceiling. In the ratings that Lu Liang learned about, there are 5 levels of gene fragments. E, D, C, B, A, but unexpectedly, the first star soul enemy he encountered contributed an S level that surpassed the rating. According to what the system said before, these two gene fragments can be used in organisms on their own planet. Analyzing the current overlord of Star Soul, humans. Human genes are fused with blood corrosion genes. Simulation results. Human skin ulcers, gene sequence collapses, and they cannot coexist. Human genes are fused with parasitic genes. Simulation results. Cannot be fused. Lu Liang tried it, and found that the two gene fragments could not be fused in the laboratory. However, he didn't want these two gene fragments to be fused into humans. If the fusion was successful, humans might become something strange. It was good for humans to develop technology and wisdom step by step. Later, Lu Liang put the focus of fusion on Godzilla and the dragon. Analyzing the lava dragon. In the gene sequence of the lava dragon, there is actually an A-level gene fragment, the energy heart. Creatures with energy characteristics are all classified as energy creatures. Generally speaking, if the heart is an energy body, it must be more powerful than other organs. As for these lava dragons, they were cultivated by Lu Liang himself by accident. They were cultivated with the energy of the star core, so these dragons became so powerful. Under normal circumstances, which star soul would be willing to give the star core energy to its own creatures? After those star souls gained consciousness, they treasured these energies very much, and were reluctant to feed them to the creatures. After learning that the dragon he gave birth to actually had an A-level gene fragment, Lu Liang couldn't help but feel proud. This was a creature he cultivated himself, and he didn't expect it to have an A-level gene fragment directly. It had nothing to do with the system. The other genes of the dragon were generally not bad, especially the metal scales and energy secretion glands, which were already very powerful without being strengthened. Dragon gene fusion with corrosive blood gene. Simulation result. Perfect. Dragon blood temperature is as high as thousands of degrees Celsius, and it is extremely corrosive after splashing. Dragon gene fusion with parasite gene. Simulation result. Poor. Energy gene and parasite gene are incompatible, and the effect of forced fusion is unknown. What does it mean? This parasite can be fused, but I don't know what the final effect is. Forget it. The lava dragon route is developing quite well now. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 31 Autonomous Creation. The lava dragon is fusing the corrosive blood gene. Congratulations to the host. The fusion is successful. Analyzing Godzilla's biological gene. Similarly, Godzilla also has an energy heart. The Godzilla gene is fused with the corrosive blood gene. Simulation result. Perfect. The temperature of the dragon's blood is as high as 3000 degrees Celsius, and it is extremely corrosive after splashing. Godzilla's simulated fusion effect is even more perfect than that of the lava dragon. The temperature of the corrosive blood has reached a terrifying 3000 degrees Celsius. It seems that Godzilla's long-term warm environment and long-term absorption of core energy are more than that of the lava dragon. Godzilla's gene is fused with the parasitic gene. Simulation result. Poor. Energy gene and parasitic gene are incompatible. The effect of forced fusion is unknown. Similarly, Godzilla is also incompatible with parasitic genes. Although corrosive blood is only an E-level gene fragment, its compatibility is very good, and will not conflict with energy genes. The compatibility has also reached perfection. It seems that such a gene fragment is the most suitable for fusion in the lava dragon and Godzilla. This is how gene fragments work. Even if the strength is high, if the two are incompatible, they still cannot evolve into stronger creatures. Lu Liang immediately merged the corrosive blood gene with the lava dragon and Godzilla. On the prairie, the dragons that were still hunting the remaining aliens also stopped their actions temporarily. They all roared to the sky, because they felt a new power in their bodies, which was the power flowing out of the heart, and then flowing through the blood vessels throughout the body. The new blood was so warm and powerful, that it made these dragons feel very comfortable. Once they exerted force, the blood vessels on these dragons could burst like human veins, but their veins were fiery red like magma. The blood vessel lines on their bodies brought countless dark red lines to their deep black skin. A 4-meter tall alien took advantage of the dragon in front of him when he was in a daze and suddenly attacked him. It suddenly ejected its powerful tongue and broke a blood hole in the dragon's front paw. Instantly, the blood from the dragon's wound spurted out, and the fiery red blood was like a volcanic eruption. The hot blood splashed onto the alien in front of him, leaving a large scar. The alien's powerful tongue was burned to pieces by the high temperature before it could be retracted. The alien wailed in pain and covered its mouth with its claws like a human, and then was slapped to death by the giant dragon that had regained consciousness. Evolving with the giant dragon, there were countless Godzillas underground. They also felt this powerful force. If the high temperature blood circulated throughout their bodies, even their body temperatures would increase a lot. Feeling that his two biological sons had gained new abilities, Lu Liang was extremely satisfied. But it was not over yet. The system's prompt sound still rang in his mind. The host has an agile biological template. Do you want to use the template to create a host native organism similar to the template? Nonsense. Of course I have to create. Now that my coordinates have been leaked, I don't know when other star souls will come to invade. I urgently need to quickly improve my overall strength. The development of human science and technology is not achieved overnight. We can't rush it. Development takes time. It's a pity that my system can't strengthen science and technology, otherwise I don't have to be so anxious now. The only thing I can rely on now is my biological evolution system. Using the biological template to create a new creature is to improve the strength of my planet in disguise. Confirm creation. Use the agile template to create a creature. Please add gene fragments to the new creature. A translucent slender creature appeared on the system panel in front of Lu Liang, and beside the panel, there were all kinds of gene fragments. My top level energy heart must be added. This is my A-level gene fragment, which is the top level in the rating. It must be added. The template biological gene and the energy heart gene are fused. The simulation result is ordinary. This template creature cannot exert the full power of the energy heart gene, and the overall utility does not exceed 30%. TSK, it's a pity. This alien template is not so big that it can't accommodate a powerful energy heart. Even if it is forcibly installed, it can only exert less than half of its power. But being able to exert 30% of its power is much stronger than other heart genes Lu Liang has. Lu Liang used his mind to drag this energy heart gene onto the translucent slender creature. Then, an energy heart emitting a soft glow appeared on the upper chest of the translucent life. Next, Lu Liang looked for genes suitable for this alien-like creature in the panel. There are countless gene fragments in the panel. Humans alone have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and each pair of chromosomes contains hundreds of thousands of gene sequences. To put it bluntly, in Lu Liang's gene bank, the number of gene fragments owned by humans alone is as high as about 30,000. In addition to a few useful gene fragments, most of them are irrelevant genes that control skin color, earlobe size, body hair and body odor. And there are quite a few parts that have no use at all. This is what humans gradually eliminated during the evolution process. Basically, they are all degenerate and abandoned gene fragments. In the huge gene bank of the planet, in addition to tens of thousands of human genes, there are also hundreds of thousands of gene sequences from lava dragons, Godzilla creatures, various wild animals and plants, etc. Fortunately, the system is relatively intelligent and can block the same gene sequences between various organisms and only retain one. Otherwise, given the similarity of these organisms, the number of gene sequences retained will be even larger. There are nearly 10,000 gene fragments in common between humans and orangutans alone. If the system does not perform intelligent shielding, the gene fragments in the gene bank will be more and more chaotic. Even so, there are hundreds of millions of gene fragments in the entire gene bank, and Lu Liang will select genes suitable for similar alien creatures from these hundreds of millions of gene fragments to fill the 28 pairs of chromosomes needed in this new organism, and in this way, the total number of gene fragments required is as many as more than 30,000. This huge project is simply an inhuman torture for Lu Liang, who has no foundation in biological genetics. Even with the system to help analyze gene compatibility and simulate experiments, The workload is extremely large, and even so it still takes a lot of time to complete. Creating a new organism from scratch is really an extremely difficult task. Chapter 32 Humanoids. Help me screen the gene fragments about cells. With Lu Liang's order, all other gene fragments on the panel disappeared, leaving only the gene sequence fragments about cells. But there are thousands of these alone. Fortunately, the system has implemented a grading system for these gene fragments. On top of a field full of low-level cell fragments, there is an A-level gene fragment. The energy heart gene is fused with this gene fragment. The simulation result is perfect. The two are compatible and mutually reinforcing, and each can exert 50% of the power effect. This gene fragment is Lu Liang's protocell. This is a gene fragment that can make the energy heart store more energy. The energy heart has more energy storage, which can in turn help the protocell provide nutrients. After the two are fused, they can exert better effects. It is worthy of being the top gene fragment of protozoa. The fusion of these two gene fragments is the most perfect match. With these experiences, Lu Liang first let the system screen out high-level gene fragments. There are not so many high-level gene fragments, so it is relatively convenient to screen and simulate fusion. Metal scales must be fused, corrosive blood is also necessary, and the brain full of wisdom must be pulled to the maximum. As long as the compatibility of these gene fragments above the lowest level is not extremely poor, they can play a better role than the lowest level gene fragments. But there is a gene fragment that makes Lu Liang very entangled. S-level parasitism. Because this gene fragment is perfectly compatible with the template organism, but the disadvantage is that it is incompatible with the energy heart. Even if it is used forcibly, it can only exert half of its power, and it may even limit some of the effectiveness of the energy heart. Lu Liang thought for a long time, and finally did not choose to add this gene fragment. Not only because the genes of the two will conflict, but also because the reproduction method of this gene will bring disaster to other organisms on the planet. After using so many high-level gene fragments, the translucent organism on the template has finally gradually become a solid. Next, it is to perfect the genes. It is necessary to find genes that are compatible with the template organism from the low-level gene fragments. This is another big project. There are hundreds of millions of gene fragments. It is very troublesome to screen them one by one, not to mention that many of them will conflict with each other. Some of the more important genes were taken out to simulate the template organism, and the result was perfect fusion. But after adding several other gene fragments, it would immediately collapse. This gene is not compatible with the following genes, so it can only be reluctantly abandoned. Sometimes, two gene fragments are very excellent, but they are incompatible with each other, so only one can be added. In addition, chromosomes need a large number of gene fragments, but the gene library does not have so many useful genes. Lu Liang finally used a large number of meaningless gene fragments to fill them. But he never thought that those gene fragments that have no effect can actually cause gene collapse. And Lu Liang was about to collapse. He wanted to stuff all the powerful gene fragments into the body of this organism. But because of the gene collapse, this new organism will never be able to achieve the perfection in his mind. Forget it. I won't torture myself. Just let it go. It took Lu Liang hundreds of years to successfully create this new organism. Just to choose a mouth for it, Lu Liang tested more than 600 gene fragments. The new organism in front of him was far less powerful than he had expected at the beginning. He could not use the gene to strengthen cells. The structure of his throat was only 30%, and his incomplete brain made it impossible for him to speak. The energy of the spray fireball was also greatly weakened, and the tendon structure on his back did not allow him to install wings that could fly. But no matter what, the agility and hunting ability of this creature were guaranteed. No creature could be truly perfect, and Lu Liang truly experienced this feeling. Finally, Lu Liang finalized the new creature and successfully gave birth to it. The new creature has been manufactured, and 1 million points are awarded. Please name the new creature on the planet. The creature in front of him can stand up like a human, and the fine metal scales on his body can cover his strong muscles and skin. The red blood vessels are full of powerful blood, and the blood vessel patterns are also faintly visible on the exposed skin surface. Behind him, there is a long and thin tail, which is used to maintain balance during rapid movement. His head looks like a lava dragon, and it also has dragon horns, but overall, the head is not that big. However, in order to reproduce normally, Lu Liang still added the human reproduction mode and effect for them. These creatures are divided into male and female, and they all have the same physiological organs as humans, which is to help them reproduce. Although Lu Liang did not want to face those organs directly, for the survival of his planet, he still endured the discomfort, and insisted on adding them. This new creature looks very handsome, and Lu Liang also knows that, although some gene fragments are incompatible with it, it is still very powerful as a whole. Lu Liang looked at the creature in front of him, and a creature also appeared in his mind. The two looked more and more alike. In the previous life on Earth, people named that kind of virtual creature, Little Dragon Man. Congratulations host, the naming is completed, and the name of the new creature is Dragon Man. In order to meet the minimum reproduction conditions of this creature, the system hereby gives 100 male and female dragon men. Host, please note that once the number of male and female of this creature is less than 50, not only will there be a crisis of extinction, but also a situation of close relatives. Please avoid it reasonably. The system mall has been updated, and a new creature dragon man has been added. Each new dragon man is priced at 10,000 biological points. Blanche. Lu Liang really didn't know whether to say that this system was black-hearted or conscientious. They created a new species and gave away 100 of them to meet the reproduction conditions. It seemed very conscientious. But the black-hearted thing was that such a dragon man was actually sold for 10,000 points in the system. Lu Liang's entire net worth now was only the 2 million biological points that the system had awarded before. If all these biological points were used to buy dragon men, he could only buy 200 of them. Although dragon men were very powerful, they were only slightly stronger than aliens. With such a small number, even if there were 200 more, it would be a drop in the bucket. The price of dragon men in the mall was so outrageous, but in order to allow them to reproduce safely, he had to buy some more. Otherwise, if the number was too small, after inbreeding, all kinds of genetic diseases would appear in a few generations, and the overall gene would be in danger of collapse over time. Forget it, I'll spend half of it to buy 100 first. I can't save where I should spend. It's ridiculous. After Lu Liang added the organs needed for human reproduction to these dragon people, he found that such gene fragments are actually compatible with the reproduction genes of giant dragons. The current situation is that these dragon people have the same physiological organs as humans, but basically they are useless except for fertilization and laying eggs. That's right, laying eggs. Because these dragon people can reproduce in the form of eggs one after another. But fortunately, they are not viviparous, otherwise Lu Liang would not see a large number of dragon people until the opportunity is gone. Chapter 33, Founding of a Nation. It took Lu Liang more than 100 years to create this dragon man. For his long lifespan, these 100 years were just a blink of an eye. Compared with the long evolution of life on the planet, this 100 years is not much. But for individuals with short lifespans, this 100 years is long enough. The alien corpses that were everywhere had long been decomposed by microorganisms, and a vine-like plant was born, which covered the original alien cave. Lu Liang was opening his eyes, and his body shape at this time still remained Godzilla. The heart kept supplying him with unlimited energy, and even after more than 100 years, he did not feel hungry. Lu Liang removed the incarnation of Godzilla, and then turned into a human. The vines that had been crawling all over his body in the cave for more than 100 years scattered on the ground, after losing their support. In the cave, more than 100 soft lights were emitted, and then a group of adult dragons appeared in front of him. The genes of these dragons were mostly from the native organisms on the planet, and they were also very kind to Lu Liang. After these guys appeared, they knelt on one knee to express their submission to Lu Liang. They were created by Lu Liang himself, and appeared out of thin air in this world using the system. For Lu Liang, they will definitely be very loyal. Let's start to reproduce from here. Lu Liang gave them the first order since their birth. The number of these dragon people is too small now. Before they reach a sufficient scale, they cannot become a strong fighting force. These dragon people knelt and nodded. Although their evolution is not yet complete, and they can't even speak, it is enough for them to understand what Lu Liang means. After arranging the birth of these dragon people, Lu Liang left the cave. Looking at the many traces left by the battle 100 years ago, Lu Liang didn't have the ease and ease he had before the war. Before the war, he basically didn't help much with the evolution and development of various creatures. The most common thing he did was to use his avatar to experience life and experience the comfortable life on his own planet. After humans were born, he went to human society to teach some precious knowledge. A lot of time was spent letting the creatures develop and evolve freely. Even for the protozoa, Lu Liang did not interfere too much. The giant dragon Godzilla was also transformed casually out of interest. But now it is different. He now feels the importance of time. His own coordinates were leaked, and he received the greedy eyes of countless jackals, tigers, and leopards. He now has to plan the future seriously. Now a new species has just been created. The dragon people can make up for the lack of combat capabilities of small creatures on his planet, but the number is too small at the moment, and it takes time to reproduce and grow. And he also invested all the remaining biological points in the evolution of Godzilla, because this is the strongest creature on his planet. Now the System Gene Research Laboratory is still constantly analyzing the genes of the aliens, hoping to analyze more useful and powerful gene fragments from these aliens. At present, all he can do is to continue to accelerate the development of human civilization and let humans develop high technology as soon as possible. As we all know, after humans have wisdom, they can develop to the point where they can create powerful technological weapons in just a few years. Even in the previous life, the Earth has created amazingly powerful nuclear weapons in just a few thousand years. It can be said that the path of technology is a shortcut to quickly improve the strength of the planet. Compared to the evolution process of organisms, that often takes tens of millions of years, the progress and rapid development of science and technology require very short time, even just a few generations, decades, and technology can be updated and iterated. In the east of the planet, among the countless tribes in the two river basins, the first country was born. They called themselves the Cheyenne Lang Kingdom. The army of the Cheyenne Lang Kingdom has the most sophisticated armor and weapons in the most strict discipline of the same era. More importantly, they have a special type of soldiers, dragon knights. The trained knights can fight on giant dragons that are 4 or 5 meters high. No tribe on the continent can compete with this powerful combat power at this moment. In just a few decades, all tribes in the entire eastern plains were vassalized by the Cheyenne Lang Kingdom. It was at this time that the first dynasty was born on Lu Liang's planet, the Dragon Dynasty. The kingdom of the Cheyenne Lang Kingdom was established in the center of the two mother rivers. It not only has geographical advantages, but also has the meaning of ruling the 4 directions. Today is the opening day, and it is also the day when the Dragon Emperor ascends the throne. The capital is full of joy, and the towns are also decorated with lights and colorful lights, which is very lively. In the center of the capital, there is a large palace. At this time, the palace is also very lively. The Dragon Emperor, dressed in a black imperial robe, sits on the dragon throne. I congratulate my king for sweeping across the 8 wildernesses and unifying the central plains. Now my king has become the king of the world and can be called the emperor. My emperor has pacified the world and established a kingdom of God, blessing the people of the world, which is an unparalleled merit. I wish your majesty a long life and rule over the world for thousands of years. Long live my emperor. Hearing the compliments of countless ministers in the palace, the Dragon Emperor waved his hand impatiently. Okay, don't do these useless things. The emperor sitting on the dragon throne was actually an incarnation of Lu Liang. He then stood up vigorously and waved his wide imperial robe. I will not unify the world to listen to your nonsense. Now I have several orders to issue. You should execute them quickly. Your subjects are listening to the teachings of our emperor. Countless ministers of Cheyenne Lang Kingdom looked at each other. Their emperor was really unmannerly and looked so casual that he did not have the majesty of being the king of the world. But then he responded with a bow. Lu Liang chose to use the power of the dragon to quickly unify and establish the country, which was indeed a helpless move. He could no longer care whether this would affect the development of human society, because he no longer had the patience to let them develop slowly. The longer time passed, the faster the crisis would come, so he had to do it. Unifying the world. This is just the first step. The first order, the same writing, the same track, the same ethics. All the characters and languages in Xianlang Kingdom are unified in Mandarin and square characters. After pacing in the hall for a while, Lu Liang issued the first policy. The pictographic characters he taught humans before. After so many years of development, different branch cultures have emerged in different tribes. There are dozens of ways to write just one dragon character. If you want civilization to cohere and avoid division in the future, the unification of writing and speech is extremely important. One of the ministers immediately took note that the paper they used for recording was also the original paper-making method taught by Lu Liang. Regarding the first policy promulgated by Lu Liang, the ministers nodded again and again. This decision was really well made. It is not an easy thing to let the people change the writing language they have used for a lifetime. The people will definitely have great opposition at the beginning. But once the change is successful, the people of the world are one family. Even if there is a split and different rulers appear, the centripetal force will definitely make them unified again. Chapter 34. National Decree. The second point is to establish the One Academy. Recruit scholars from all over the world to study various miscellaneous subjects. These include the movement of celestial bodies, energy utilization, metal smelting, etc. Those who have achieved great success will be awarded a title of 10,000. The emperor on the dragon throne was talking nonsense, and most of his ministers could not understand what he said. The ministers below looked at each other. They did not understand the meaning of the movement of celestial bodies and energy utilization, but they roughly understood that, as long as the scholars could study what the Dragon Emperor wanted, they would be greatly rewarded. On the Earth, where Lu Liang was previously, the first emperor was tirelessly pursuing immortality, but Lu Liang did not need to worry about his lifespan at all. He was only worried that he would be killed by other star souls before his life ended. It was ironic that Lu Liang was pursuing technology at this time just like the first emperor was pursuing immortality. But he knew that immortality was illusory, but technology could be researched. Some ministers quickly wrote down what Lu Liang said. Although they did not understand the meaning, it did not affect the implementation of the record. Third, build Xianlang Academy and implement the 3-test system throughout the country. It is divided into county, township, and association. Candidates must go through the 3 levels of Scholar, Juren, and Jinshi before they can enter Xianlang Academy and stay in Beijing for 1 year, and then be entrusted with important tasks in the court. After making achievements, they may be able to rise to the top in 1 step. Scholars and Juren who have not been admitted to Xianlang Academy can become officials in the local area, and they can also gradually rise to the top. The 3 tests are roughly divided into elementary school, middle school, and high school. After the college entrance examination, those with excellent results can enter the university, and after graduation, they can directly enter the court and be entrusted with important tasks. Those who graduated from elementary school, middle school, or high school can also become officials, but the starting point is low, and it is difficult to get promoted. Lu Liang said so much in one breath, and then scanned all the ministers in the palace. Most of these people are warriors who can conquer the world, but when it comes to governing the country, they are probably far from enough. He needs to select some talents to be officials to help him manage this huge world. He doesn't have time to worry about these things all the time, and there are more important things waiting for him. After this policy was announced, there was an uproar in the store. Some of the founding ministers who were proud of their achievements frowned, obviously dissatisfied with such a decision. If these civilians could be on an equal footing with the founding ministers by studying and taking imperial examinations, they felt it was very unfair. My emperor, you need to think twice about this matter. If the remnants of other tribes infiltrate the court and even dominate the government, then our country will definitely be overthrown. This is absolutely not allowed. A general stood up. He was the closest general to the Dragon Emperor and the commander of many Dragon Knights. In countless wars, they always rushed to the front line and had great military exploits. Although he was dissatisfied with this policy at this time, he could not say it openly, so he could only express it in a tactful way. Lu Liang frowned immediately and cursed directly. Don't talk nonsense. Are you the Dragon Emperor, or am I the Dragon Emperor? If you keep talking nonsense, I will rub you. The Dragon Rider commander retreated to his position in disgrace. He didn't expect that the Dragon Emperor would not give him any face at all and threatened to fire him in front of all the ministers. Seeing all the ministers gloating over his misfortune, he clenched his fists, unable to vent his anger. The historian was of course also in the hall, and he immediately recorded, "The Dragon Emperor has the courage to pacify the world in the destiny to found a country. What he does cannot be stopped, and what he thinks cannot be questioned. After all, he is a cultured person. Even though the Dragon Emperor is so arrogant, he is so tactful when he writes." Under the Xianlang Academy, schools are established in various places, and teachers of various subjects are recruited in the schools. The treatment of teachers is the same as that of local officials, but teachers are not allowed to act recklessly. This point must be supervised well. Finally, a scholarship will be established, and only those with excellent grades can get it, so as to eliminate this worry for outstanding students in the world. Similarly, no one should interfere. Lu Liang is now in urgent need of developing human civilization. In order to be able to create high-tech weapons as soon as possible, Lu Liang is worried to death. Oh, if I have a system about technology, why do I have to spend so much effort? He said everything he wanted to say and do at this time, and then waved his hand. Just these things, implement them quickly, and don't make any mistakes. Is everyone okay? Let's leave now. Report to the Dragon Emperor. There is a tribal mutiny on the border of Xianlang, and a number of people has reached. Zuo. This is a small matter. To find the Prime Minister. Don't bother me with trivial matters. Countless ministers in the hall were annoyed. Okay, the tribal mutiny has become a small matter, so what big things are worth reporting? Seeing that the ministers in the hall were silent, Lu Liang became impatient. There is no need to think too much. These bees must have nothing big to report. As a star soul, what can be hidden from me? If I can control my emotional changes, there will be no natural disasters in the world. As for man-made disasters, as a great emperor, if I do everything personally, what do the ministers do? Seeing that no one said anything, Lu Liang waved his sleeves and turned away. The Grand Court meeting on the first day of the founding of the country ended so simply. All in all, it took some time to issue a few orders. After Lu Liang left, the ministers were dumbfounded. Lu Liang's actions really made it impossible for the subordinates to understand the Dragon Emperor's thoughts. What's wrong with the Dragon Emperor? He used to be very concerned about fighting, but now he doesn't even care about the mutiny. Yes, on the first day of the founding of the country, so many policies were issued, and each one is a big deal. Some of the keywords are the first time I have heard of them. Too profound. The Emperor of Hands Off. If he hadn't seen the mighty power before, he would definitely think that the Dragon Emperor is a tyrant. Bold. How dare you say such a thing in the hall? What are you afraid of? The Emperor doesn't care about these small details. Is this the first day you met the Dragon Emperor? My colleagues, while you are all here, let's discuss how to implement your Majesty's decision here. Lu Liang just put forward these ideas, and the specific implementation still depends on the many officials of the Xianlang dynasty. What Lu Liang called more important things was naturally to go back to the bedroom and lie down. But it was not just lying down, he still did things. He put his consciousness into the system's gene laboratory and continued to study gene matching and compatibility. Lu Liang didn't want to waste such a short time. In addition to promoting the rapid development of human civilization, he also entered the system's gene library to study those genes. It is no exaggeration to say that he now knows more about the creatures on his planet than some experts on Earth in his previous life. His talent and starting point are not very good, but he has plenty of time to figure out these things. In the past 100 years, he has stripped and classified most of the commonly used genes, different characteristics, and what gene fragments will cause overall collapse, and which genes are extremely compatible when paired, and can amplify each other. He has gradually mastered all this knowledge, and even used the new knowledge he learned to transform the dragon genes again, to make up for the previous defects. There are too many fragments in the gene library, and countless gene fragments mutate every day. It is impossible for him to master them all in a short period of time. At this level, it is already the result of his great efforts. Chapter 35. Enfeoffment of Princes. At present human society has entered the feudal period. The monarch governs the entire country and leads the people in production and life. Next, there will be decades of peace and prosperity. The Dragon Emperor will open schools to teach people to learn characters and various cultures. He will also reward students with excellent learning, innovative spirit and research spirit, and some of them will even become officials in the court. For a time, the atmosphere of learning has spread to the entire Cheyenne Long Kingdom. In fact, as long as people can have enough food, people are still willing to study. After all, there is no charge for studying now. From the age of 6 to nearly adulthood, all are financially supported by the Cheyenne Long Kingdom. Therefore, going to school not only does not burden the people, but also has great benefits. Even if the studies are not completed, and you cannot be an official anywhere, it is also very good to use the knowledge you have learned in life. No matter how poorly the people of Cheyenne Long Kingdom learn, they basically know how to read, so the illiteracy in Cheyenne Long Kingdom has been greatly reduced. And having enough food is simply the easiest thing for the people of the world. After all, this plane of the planet has never experienced drought or other natural disasters. It doesn't even need to be taken care of too carefully. Just plant the seeds in the ground, and they will take root and sprout soon. Some weeds can't even compete with these powerful plants for nutrition. When the harvest season comes, these grains grow full and healthy. The reason why these seeds grow so well is actually the result of Lu Liang's improvement of them with biological points. Even later, people don't need to sow seeds. They just need to accidentally drop some seeds during the autumn harvest, and they will grow very densely in the next season. So eating is really the easiest thing for humans on Lu Liang's planet. They don't even have the concept of famine. In such a prosperous era, culture has also achieved unprecedented rapid development. Under Lu Liang's promotion, things that should have taken a lot of time to research have taken shape in just a few decades. Looking at the fireworks exploding in the sky, Lu Liang was happy and depressed, and his heart was very complicated. The happy thing is that he passed the gunpowder to them, but he didn't expect to find a way to apply it so quickly. What's depressing is that this direction seems to be a bit off. He originally wanted to make explosives. It seems that the prosperous age also has its shortcomings. Although the civilization is developing rapidly, there is no sense of crisis. These inventions that should have been used in war in Lu Liang's mind can only be used as entertainment now. After so long of comfort, even the metal smelting technology has not made much progress. Lu Liang thought about it and decided not to relax like this, nor to let Cheyenne Long Kingdom dominate. Only a sense of crisis can promote the overall technological change. The Dragon Emperor, who is already over 80 years old, summoned all his ministers to his bedside. Lu Liang's incarnation at this time is already white-haired and dying. He has been on the throne for 50 or 60 years, which is completely considered a long life in the human lifespan. But unfortunately, the great Dragon Emperor has not had any offspring for so many years. What makes people worry is that after he ascends to heaven, who will take over the rule of such a prosperous country? Ahem. General Wang, I appoint you as the king of Langzhou, and you will be in charge of all matters in Langzhou for me. You will also be in charge of the Langzhou army in the future. Your humble servant obeys my orders. General Cannonball, I appoint you as the king of Xi'an, and the grasslands in the west are handed over to you. I will devote myself to the country and the people. General Song, you are the king of Yangzhou. General Meng, you are in charge of Fengzhou. General Guan, Yazhou is handed over to you. I will obey your orders, and I will share your worries until my death. The Dragon Emperor enfeoffed all the 9 states in the world to the generals. From now on, these generals became the lords of a territory and had tremendous power. After Lu Liang arranged these matters, he seemed to have exhausted all his strength and waved his hand without saying anything. Generals, ministers, and scholars, please go back. Your Majesty needs to rest. The chief guard who was responsible for taking care of the Dragon Emperor's daily life began to drive people away without mercy. After leaving the bedroom, some ministers and generals couldn't help whispering to each other. Nonsense. Your Majesty has divided up all the military power in the world. Once these princes have disloyalty, it will be a disaster for the entire Cheyenne Long Kingdom. Yes, I don't know what your Majesty is thinking. He has been wise all his life, but how can he be so confused in the end? Even if there is no royal heir and no one inherits the throne, the world should not be divided up. How can these princes who don't even have blood relations not have disloyalty? Your Majesty seems to be really old and confused. Everyone knows that at this time, these generals and ministers have all developed wolfish ambitions. They are originally fighting for power and profit. Now they are actually divided into princes. This will probably make them even more lawless. Alas, I'd better retire and return home. It's not too late. Just as these ministers were beating their chests and stamping their feet and whispering to each other, General Wang, who was flattered by others, came in front of them. The fief of this general is Langzhou, the richest of the 9 states in the world, at the foot of Xianlang capital. He was just named a vassal king, and he was so proud and smiling at the moment. Ministers, what are you talking about here? Even if these ministers were dissatisfied with General Wang, they did not dare to offend the vassal king who was in the limelight at this time. Congratulations to General Wang. Oh no, congratulations to King Langzhou. We are discussing what kind of gift to send. Yes, King Langzhou, we must discuss how to congratulate you at the feet of the emperor. Ha 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 ha. Good. I will hold a banquet tomorrow, and all the ministers must come to support me. King Langzhou laughed happily. At this time, it was exactly in line with the saying that life is proud and the horse's hooves are fast. He didn't know why His Majesty wanted to grant him Langzhou under his feet. He now controls the richest fiefdom in the world. Even the military force is the most powerful among the vassal states of Kaiju. It is really second to none, and above 10,000 people. If Your Majesty were to own the richest lands in the world 100 years later, he seemed to have seen that after the Dragon Emperor passed away, he would sweep away other fiefs and become the new Dragon Emperor. When these ministers with ulterior motives were about to leave the palace gate, the chief guard who was responsible for taking care of the Dragon Emperor's daily life ran out of the palace in a hurry. He ran to the ministers, generals and princes, and didn't even care about the etiquette. Oh no, the Dragon Emperor has passed away. Chapter 36 is finally here. Of course, Lu Liang couldn't die so easily. He deliberately divided the whole world into different kingdoms, hoping that they would fight each other and develop technology rapidly due to war. But after doing all this, he was not done yet. He continued to incarnate. In the cold area in the north of the planet, the Bear Country was established, corresponding to the original location of the Earth. On the western coast, the Lion Country was established, corresponding to the location of the Earth. He continued to establish the Eagle Country in the location corresponding to the Earth. Anyway, he would not be tired. It happened that there was a time difference between these 3 places. He actually took turns in these 3 countries as the ruler. He led these 3 countries to develop rapidly and also taught them the seeds of civilization, hoping that they could make technology diverse and develop rapidly. Lu Liang still understood the principle of casting a wide net. With so many countries, there will always be one that can develop. Similarly, after they entered a stable development, Lu Liang quietly left and let them develop on their own. Lu Liang gradually found the law by doing this, that is, let them have 100 years of peaceful development, and then there will be an era of disputes. This rhythm is the most conducive to the progress of civilization. So every 200 years, he would bring down various disasters, leaving the fields barren, and forcing the people to rebel under the oppression of his rule. Sometimes he would even take the lead in raising the pole to revolt. When the peace and prosperity came, Lu Liang would gradually pass on the knowledge he knew to them. With the current level of human technology, even the light bulb has not been developed yet. It is completely ridiculous for them to develop a spaceship that can travel in space. In his opinion, it is better to wait until civilization develops to the modern age that is similar to the Earth, and then hand over the alien spaceship that crashed on the original grassland to them for a search. In this way, 500 years have passed, and the star souls that Lu Liang has been worried about finally came. In the endless universe, after hundreds of years of sailing, a spaceship like a disk gradually approached the Chaos Star. In the vast universe, this spaceship seems so small, but in fact, this spaceship is much larger than the previous alien spaceship that crashed. This spaceship is actually about the size of a city and can accommodate tens of thousands of people. The spaceship is disc-shaped like a big straw hat, flat around and bulging in the middle, with a metallic luster on the hull. It is unknown what kind of energy this spaceship uses. Anyway, it does not have any jet nozzles on its body, but it can travel so fast, and its speed has reached 1% of the speed of light, which basically meets the minimum requirements for interstellar navigation. Tens of thousands of aliens in the spaceship each have their own duties. They check their aircraft and beam weapons. Even if the target is a planet with a civilization that is backward compared to them, these aliens are not careless or underestimated. These aliens look very strange, as if they evolved from tentacle monsters. They have a huge head similar to an octopus, and the head is as big as a human fist. In addition, what supports them to stand up is actually a dozen tentacles under the head. These aliens don't even have a body. Of course, the universe is so big that there are all kinds of strange things. Although carbon-based human creatures are easier to evolve, it is not impossible for other strange intelligent creatures to be born. The tentacles of these aliens are very flexible. Each one is like a human finger, but it seems to be more flexible than a finger, and can even curl in any direction. An alien skillfully uses his tentacles to operate the various complicated buttons in front of him. In the virtual panoramic light and shadow, a planet marked by them is very close to their spaceship. Sir, Chaos Star is ahead. An alien came to the bridge in the center of the spaceship and reported to their commander. This person did not speak, but used his consciousness to pass the thoughts in his mind to their leader. In the center of the bridge, a tentacle monster several times larger than other aliens was placed there. Yes, it was placed. His huge head was placed on a sophisticated instrument, and dozens of tentacles like giant pythons naturally hung down. His head also bulged in the middle like a straw hat, and a transparent cover covered the entire head. The cover was connected to a huge metal pipe, connecting the entire brain to the spaceship. Okay. All soldiers listen to the order, prepare to descend, and capture the target creature. His huge head did not even move, and he spread his consciousness throughout the huge spaceship. Lu Liang, who was concentrating on studying the genetic structure, became extremely solemn in the next second. Here it comes. Much earlier than I expected. The universe is infinite. It takes a lot of time for one planet to sail to another when the technology level has not reached its peak. Not every planet is as close to Lu Liang as the alien planet. The star soul that received the coordinates of Lu Liang's planet may be hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of light years away from him. When everyone's technology level is about the same, the star soul that can come now must be very close to him. The level of technology can be estimated. He has foresight and urges so much, and the biological evolution system has not yet developed to its peak. It is conceivable that the technology level of other planets, even if it is stronger than him, is not much stronger. It's a flying saucer. Lu Liang did not feel that the star soul's ability was blocked this time. He clearly felt that a flying saucer with a metallic luster broke into the atmosphere. He has watched many science fiction films and knows very well that this type of aircraft is too classic. You didn't even block the star soul's ability. It seems that you've been underestimated. Lu Liang smiled coldly. He hadn't felt blocked yet, and he didn't know what the other star soul was thinking. In that case, I won't be polite. Come down. Lu Liang manipulated countless atoms in the atmosphere, sweeping towards the flying saucer. At the same time, a huge gravitational force was emitted from the planet itself. Lu Liang wanted to tear the flying saucer down from the air. The alien in the flying saucer was pressing complicated buttons quickly in the control room. The neutrality of the spacecraft has increased sharply, and the anti-gravity position is being activated. The metal baffle at the bottom of the flying saucer opened quickly, revealing a huge metal opening, and a metal probe appeared from it. There was a sphere of unknown material on the top of the probe, and a strange force was released from the sphere. The spacecraft suddenly fell and paused, and it actually stopped steadily in the air again. This flying saucer can actually offset the gravity exerted by Lu Liang, and the other impacts created by Lu Liang had no effect on this spacecraft of unknown material. Even with Lu Liang's godlike power in his own territory, he couldn't break the defenses of the invading alien spaceships. Chapter 37 Alien UFO. Lu Liang didn't expect that his powerful star soul ability could not affect the aliens with high technology. What exactly is the star soul of this planet like? Is their technology so powerful? It's normal to think about it. With the rapid development of technology, civilization can gradually conquer nature and use technology to influence its own planet. There may even be civilizations that enslave the star soul of their own planet and mine the energy of the star core. Although this situation is troublesome, Lu Liang is not panicked. He has simulated countless alien invasions and also simulated the situation where he cannot use the power of the star soul. Since the star soul ability cannot stop these alien spacecraft, then Lu Liang can only rely on the creatures on his own planet. The spacecraft is currently at an altitude of 30,000 meters, far away from the ground. The creatures on his own planet, even the giant dragon with the ability to fly, may not be able to attack it. But Lu Liang believes that it will definitely land soon. This alien can't come to his planet for sightseeing. Good people don't come. No matter what purpose they have in mind, they will always land. Lu Liang didn't believe that at this time, alien civilizations had come up with super long-range attacks such as star destroyers. The commander in the flying saucer conveyed the order to the minds of the aliens and the entire flying saucer through his brain power. Maintain anti-gravity stance, prepare to land, and capture the target creatures on the planet. In this guy's consciousness, Lu Liang's leaked information about the giant dragon and Godzilla appeared in the minds of every alien. They quickly manipulated the precise instruments of the flying saucer, and then controlled the flying saucer to slowly descend. The landing location happened to be a dense primeval forest hundreds of miles south of Eagle Country. These aliens were not interested in primitive human civilization, and they never regarded weak humans as a threat. The purpose of their coming to this planet was to capture the two powerful energy creatures, the giant dragon and Godzilla. In the forest, as the flying saucer slowly landed, a large shadow enveloped the forest. The size of this flying saucer was like a city, and it was even more obstructed by the sun when it landed. Countless animals looked up, and their minds and wisdom were not enough for them to understand what was in the sky. Finally, the UFO slowly landed in the air 500 meters above the ground, and it seemed that it would not land again. 500 meters. At this distance, the power of Godzilla's rays will be reduced by half. Lu Liang, who had been hiding in the forest for a long time, saw that the spaceship would not land again, and he was thinking about how to deal with them. It was unknown what material the UFO was made of. The lightning and strong wind just now did nothing to it, and it looked unusually strong. Godzilla's energy rays, at this distance, would probably not be able to penetrate the armor of the UFO, unless it continued to attack. But how could the UFO not move at all, and let him attack? As long as he appeared, Lu Liang believed that he would definitely be blasted into slag by the UFO's attack power. There was no need to think about it. Isn't that how science fiction movies are played? If nothing unexpected happens, that ball is the weakness of the spaceship. Lu Liang looked up at the magnificent UFO and saw that the UFO was bare, with only a long metal instrument extending from the hole in the center, and a ball of unknown material on the top. The sphere was now driven by power, emitting a faint blue light. A strong force that could resist gravity was spreading outward from the sphere. It was this sphere that allowed the spacecraft to maintain balance despite Lu Liang's increased gravity. Lu Liang guessed correctly that it was the anti-gravity force generated by this sphere. At the same time, due to its material, it was not as strong as the outer shell of the UFO. When it was not used on weekdays, the aliens would put the sphere back into the UFO and protect it well. Lu Liang narrowed his eyes slightly. He was waiting for an opportunity. There might only be one chance, so he must not alert the enemy. He used the power of the Star Soul to mobilize the native species of the planet and let them gather here. Because of the previous preparations, the giant dragons and Godzilla's underground had been mobilized by him a long time ago. It was convenient for them to counterattack in the first time when alien creatures invaded. Now, in this forest under the shadow, there are 5 Godzillas hiding in it. As long as Lu Liang gives an order, they will run out and follow Lu Liang's orders to attack the UFO floating at low altitude. Inside the UFO, the aliens were using some kind of radar to scan the terrain and environment below. After scanning a creature that looked up at the UFO, they danced with excitement. One of the target creatures has been found. Prepare to capture it. The alien's flexible tentacles operated on the control panel, and then the color of the beads at the bottom of the UFO became brighter, from light blue to light purple. A force was emitted from the sphere, an invisible wave appeared, and then the gravity of the terrain also changed slightly. This force enveloped the lava dragon in the forest. The tiny stones, sand, and the surrounding leaves and branches were all attracted by this gravity and led into the air, entering the interior of the UFO from the bottom hatch of the UFO. The lava dragon was no exception. It was also pulled by this force and floated up. Raw. The lava dragon was bound by a strange force, and this feeling made it very uncomfortable. It struggled in the air to get out. Seeing this scene, Lu Liang was immediately happy. What a good opportunity. The hatch of the flying saucer is the hole, where the sphere is sticking out. Now the flying saucer wants to capture the dragon, so the dragon can use gravity to approach the sphere and shoot a high temperature fireball at a very close distance to destroy the sphere. He immediately used the Star Soul ability to communicate with the lava dragon. The lava dragon felt the comfort of the Star Soul, and then gradually calmed down and struggled less. With the traction, it was slowly brought into the mouth of 500 meters high. Good angle. Now, Lu Liang's mind moved, and he commanded the lava dragon to shoot an energy fireball at the sphere. The dragon was only more than 10 meters away from the sphere at this time. After hearing Lu Liang's order, it adjusted its body, that was powerless in midair. Then a stream of energy rushed out from its heart, flowed into its mouth, and began to gather powerful power. Roar. The dragon suddenly opened its mouth, and blew out the powerful force in its mouth. A fireball that distorted the surrounding air quickly hit the ball, that was about 3 meters away. Boom. The powerful fireball energy successfully hit, but the ball was completely unharmed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 38. A plan comes to mind. It is unknown what material this sphere that can generate a gravity field is made of. The fireball fired by the lava dragon did not hurt the sphere at all. The hardness of the sphere exceeded Lu Liang's expectations. It seems that a stronger force is needed to destroy it. The lava dragon, whose mission failed, struggled to be sucked into the flying saucer by the traction force. Lu Liang found from the perspective of the dragon that the material inside the flying saucer was much more fragile than the hard outer shell. After the dragon was caught, it bumped around in the unmanned isolation layer and even dented the iron wall inside. This is also normal. Good steel should be used on the blade. The material of the outer surface of the flying saucer is very rare. It can be said that it is this material that restricts the size of the flying saucer. In order to build a wider flying saucer, the aliens used all this material on the outer shell and important places, but not inside the flying saucer, so naturally there were not so many precious materials to use. Roar. The lava dragon tried to erupt fireballs to attack the interior of the spacecraft. The explosion of terrifying power blew a huge dent in the metal wall in front of him. The aliens dared not continue to let the dragon destroy it at will. Several metal arms like long whips on the wall tied up the dragon and sent it to the research room of the UFO. There, alien scientists were already waiting to study this powerful energy creature. Lu Liang, who sensed the situation inside the spacecraft, also had a plan in mind at this time. Since you want to catch energy creatures, then I will let you catch as many as you want. Since this UFO is coming for its own energy creatures, let it catch as many as it wants, the more the better. Since the sturdy spacecraft cannot be destroyed from the outside, it will be destroyed from the fragile inside. Several more energy creatures have been scanned. Look, there are also those huge ones that can stand up. When the aliens saw the dragons and even Godzilla appearing on the scanning equipment, countless tentacles were waving excitedly. I didn't expect to find these creatures so easily. It's really easy to get them. Quick, catch them all. The brainwaves of the alien researchers were fluctuating with joy. There were so many new creatures to study, which made them extremely excited. The traction force appeared from the bottom of the spacecraft again, and dragons were sucked in one after another. Even the huge Godzilla was pulled away by 5 or 6. This is a great harvest. The commander of the spacecraft, who knew that dozens of energy creatures had been captured, was very satisfied with the big head that controlled the entire spacecraft. He didn't expect that the first task would be completed so easily. The star souls on this planet can't stop them at all. Well done. Next, destroy the humans on this planet. The second mission of the aliens on this trip is to strangle the civilization on this planet in the cradle at the beginning. Then wait for their star souls to come and occupy and devour the planet Lu Liang. If we can mine some star core energy before Lord Star Soul comes, it will be even better. Thinking of the delicious star core energy, the greed in the eyes of the big-headed commander was unconcealed. The reason why he can be so huge is because Lord Star Soul hunted other star souls and then gave him a little bit of star core energy. The home planet of these aliens is a huge red planet, and the surface seems to be burning with high temperature flames forever, so their star souls named their planet Mars. Life forms were born on Mars very early, and these lives developed very extreme. They seemed to not care about the body and evolved their brains crazily. For them, the bigger the head, the stronger the strength. As for the body, what kind of organ is that? So in this way, their wisdom is also very high, and they have created spaceships that can travel in space very early. It is easy to bully nearby planets that don't even have intelligent life. Mars Star Soul has devoured several star souls over the years. Star Soul, who has tasted the sweetness, simply dispersed the fleet and searched for planets with star souls in the vast universe. In the content of cosmic radiation, the coordinates and information of Chaos Star were obtained, and the spacecraft that happened to be close to Chaos Star was about to come to let them verify the authenticity of the radiation content. Now that the commander of the spacecraft has confirmed it, the greedy desire of Mars Star Soul made him immediately assemble thousands of ships and rush to this planet. Before the arrival of the large army, the task of this spaceship commander is to significantly improve the development of Chaos Star's civilization, so that Lu Liang planet cannot develop a force that can resist. Seeing that the hatch of the Martian spacecraft was about to close, it seemed that it would no longer capture the energy creatures below, and it was flying towards the nearest Eagle country. Lu Liang knew that it was time to act. Inside the flying saucer, the eyes of a Godzilla were different from those of the other ones. His eyes were full of wisdom. Yes, this Godzilla was the incarnation of Lu Liang. Let's get started. Haomi, destroy this place. Roars resounded inside the flying saucer. These lava dragons and Godzillas were all aroused to be fierce. Lu Liang stood up first, and with a sudden pull of his front paws, the mechanical arm that had controlled him before was directly torn off the ceiling of the spacecraft. No more pretending. I'm showing my cards. You metal arms can't control me at all. Godzilla and the dragons easily broke free from the control of the mechanical arm. The previous struggles and resistance were all in compliance with Lu Liang's orders and a show. Now, after being frustrated for a long time, they began to vent their endless anger. Roar. Godzilla's energy beam shot out from its mouth, quickly melting the metal walls. These metal walls were pierced with large holes by Godzilla's powerful beams. Through the hole, Lu Liang saw the Martians, who were obviously beginning to panic. Fuck, why are these aliens so ugly? Lu Liang originally imagined that these aliens had big heads and thin limbs, just like in science fiction movies. After all, the flying saucers in science fiction movies have all appeared, so it's not too much to have such aliens, right? Although these aliens also have big heads, they don't even have bodies or limbs. There are tentacles under their heads, which look very evil. A fireball shot out from the dragon's mouth, along the big hole, attacking the alien inside. Dazzling flames and loud explosions came from inside, and the alien couldn't even resist, and was blown into a bloody mess, with countless tentacles charred. Lu Liang also smelled a slight smell. That smell was like charcoal grilled octopus. Commander, it's bad. The energy creatures we just captured are collectively out of control. They are frantically attacking the interior of the spacecraft. Chapter 39, Destruction. On the communication screen in front of the Martian commander, many alien images instantly appeared. In the images, these tentacle monsters were obviously beginning to panic. They never thought that, after entering the flying saucer, these creatures would have such strong destructive power that they could easily break the restraints and attack the metal walls in the spacecraft. If these creatures were allowed to continue attacking, the spacecraft would be in danger. Send out the Mars number 9 robot to control them. Be careful not to kill them. They are all precious research materials. Yes. Send out Mars number 9. The alien tentacles output on the control panel for a while, and then opened the hatch closed to the isolation cabin. There, a robot named Mars number 9 was gradually waking up. Mars number 9 is a multifunctional weapon made by these Martians. Each one is very tall, more than 20 meters tall. These robots are made using the latest Martian technology. They are the 9th generation of multifunctional robots, and the technology is very mature. The appearance is very simple, looking like a huge cone, with a pointed head and a round body, and 2 huge glasses on the pointed head. The war robot was activated, and the 2 glasses slowly opened. Then, the robot extended 8 huge mechanical arms from its bottom. 6 of these mechanical arms were longer than their bodies, more than 30 meters long. The remaining 2 were in front of the robot. Although they were shorter, they were thicker than the others. Using these mechanical arms, Mars number 9 was able to move, roll, and even climb. After attracting these tentacles, it could even spray flames from the bottom, and the whole body turned into a cannonball and rushed towards the enemy. The front end of these tentacles was a claw composed of mechanical fingers, which was very flexible and could be used to grab any object. There was a dark hole in the center of the claw, which was used to emit laser energy, which could produce huge destructive power. After receiving the order, these robots used their mechanical arms to prop themselves up, and then swung their tentacles through the metal hatches and quickly rushed to the isolation cabin where the Godzilla dragon existed. At the bottom of the flying saucer, in the horrified eyes of these Martians, several Godzillas sprayed rays at the metal cylinder at the bottom, causing huge damage. The metal cylinder is made of the strongest metal on Mars. It conducts energy very quickly and is an important conductor that connects the energy core of the flying saucer and maintains the anti-gravity position. If the metal cylinder is destroyed, the anti-gravity sphere in the flying saucer area will lose control and fall out. Once that happens, the flying saucer may be pulled to the ground and severely ravaged by the star soul of this planet. An anxious alien appeared on the control panel in front of the Martian commander, and the man reported to the commander in a hurry. "My lord, those energy creatures have begun to attack." Before he could finish his words, he showed a look of fear. My lord, the anti-gravity device was destroyed by them. The Martian commander's big head was connected to various instruments of the spacecraft. Even if no one came to report, he could clearly know the various situations inside the flying saucer. Now, he also learned from this person that the anti-gravity device had lost its function. Oh no. Everyone, be prepared for a forced landing. He used brain waves to convey the information to every alien in the flying saucer. Ugh. The energy attacks of several Godzillas and dragons finally destroyed the metal cylinder connected to the anti-gravity device. I don't know what material this metal cylinder is made of, but it can withstand ultra-high temperatures. Even with the combined efforts of many Godzillas and dragons, it took nearly 30 seconds to destroy it. This alien technology is really awesome. Lu Liang was also very shocked. But the aliens who saw everything just now were even more shocked. A material expert who was researching on the ship muttered in disbelief, "Impossible. This ultra-high temperature resistant alloy material can withstand temperatures of tens of thousands of degrees Celsius. Or, the rays and fireballs ejected by these creatures can reach such a height. This is a creature. How can a creature do that?" The biological expert next to the material expert seemed to sense the brainwave fluctuations. Theoretically, it is impossible for a creature to store such powerful energy, but that is also for material creatures. In fact, the energy creatures we captured are fundamentally different from me, so don't be one-sided. But I didn't expect that the energy creatures on this planet are so powerful. I'm getting more and more excited. If I can study the secrets of these creatures, it will be worth it even if I die. It only took Godzilla and the dragon half a minute to fuse the anti-gravity device. By the time these aliens reacted, the anti-gravity device had fallen off the outside of the spacecraft. In an instant, the position disappeared. Alright. Lu Liang's star soul ability was activated, and then a strong gravitational force spread out from the star core, as if it was a big net, wrapping the spacecraft. But not only the spacecraft, but also dozens of kilometers in radius, were covered by this gravity. The birds in the sky could not bear the pressure and fell from the air. The creatures on the ground were even more crushed to the ground by the gravity and could not move. Some fragile creatures could not bear the huge pressure at all and exploded and died in a short time. Some of the plants on the ground were even bent, and the softer ground was also depressed by the gravity. Without this important anti-gravity device, the flying saucer could no longer withstand the gravity given by Lu Liang. After swaying for a while, it suddenly smashed to the ground. Boom. This huge flying saucer can be 20 to 30 kilometers in diameter, which is no less than the size of a city. It fell from the sky and hit the ground heavily, and the earth was shaking. The area below the flying saucer was even worse, and countless animals and plants were crushed to pieces by the spacecraft, and there was no life. The violent shaking of this land was felt even by the people of Eagle Country in the distance. They put down their work and looked over here. Inside the spaceship, the aliens were all knocked unconscious. Some of the unlucky ones were killed or injured by the scattered instruments and machinery. The thick-skinned lava dragon and Godzilla were safe and sound. Keep destroying. Lu Liang came to his senses and sprayed at the electronic equipment on the wall, as if he was going to destroy it. Now that the UFO had crashed, and now that it was on the ground, Lu Liang had the strength to fight them. The most urgent task was to destroy as many instruments and equipment on the spaceship as possible. Chapter 40 Alien Weapons. The lava dragon and Godzilla acted separately, wantonly destroying all the instruments visible in the flying saucer. The diameter of the spacecraft is 20 to 30 kilometers. These huge energy creatures can run rampant here without being crowded. No aliens encountered on the road can escape from their mouths. These aliens are intelligent species, just like humans on Earth. They are not strong in combat and their main weapons are still technological weapons. And the main weapon of these Martians is the energy laser gun. This kind of firearm is also called a photon energy gun. It is a synthetic photon energy emitted by the gun body. The moment it is fired, the heat temperature is as high as 8,000 degrees Celsius. Even after hundreds of meters of power attenuation, the power is still undiminished. A Martian looked at the lava dragon approaching in front of him and quickly raised the laser gun that he had prepared long ago. After aiming at the lava dragon, he pulled the trigger without hesitation. What is keeping life for a search? At this time, it is good to be able to save life. A beam of powerful laser energy shot out from the muzzle, and the speed is comparable to the speed of light. The dragon had no time to react and was hit by the laser beam in an instant. However, the laser beam fired by such a powerful weapon only left a fire mark on the dragon's scales. Seeing that the weapon he relied on for survival had no effect, the Martian felt a huge sense of powerlessness and fear. The laser weapon could not hurt the energy creatures at all, so his life would be gone. Sure enough, the next moment, the Martian was torn to pieces by the dragon, and the blue blood of the Martian was splattered all over the ground. Even the energy gun can't deal with these creatures. In the bridge of the flying saucer, the Martian commander was still there. He used various monitoring instruments on the spacecraft to see everything that was happening, and his brainwaves were also transmitted to everyone's mind. With just one sentence, they heard fear, and the anger and roar of their commander. Tell me, why can't our photon weapons cause any harm to them? The Martian commander angrily questioned the others in the bridge. A Martian in charge of the weapon system of the spacecraft trembled. It should be impossible. The photon weapon of Martian life has been used for more than 5,000 years. In these years, the life on their planet has used this weapon to conquer more than a dozen planets. Countless victories have shown that this energy gun is an outstanding weapon, and no creature can be harmed by it and remain unharmed. Even creatures wearing heavy armor cannot withstand the high temperature of thousands of degrees Celsius. How come the invincible photon weapon does not work on this energy creature? The Martian in charge of the weapon system of the flying saucer hesitated for a long time and could not speak. At this time, a Martian stood up from the crowd. He was the biologist who had just talked to the material expert. Come and see. The biologist pressed the buttons of the high-tech instrument in front of him with his tentacles, and then a huge image appeared on the bridge screen. What was shown on this screen was the lava dragon of the planet Lu Liang. The biologist magnified it, and magnified it again, and the impact was finally fixed on the fine scales on the dragon's body. This creature has a scale structure on its body. You can tell at a glance that these scales are made of mixed materials. I just discussed it with a materials expert, and he said that it seems to be made of lava, but the strange thing is that the lava material can actually combine with the scales to form a new type of scale. But even so, it definitely can't withstand the high temperature of thousands of degrees Celsius of the energy gun. The key to being able to withstand this high temperature lies in the arrangement of the surface structure of these scales. This kind of scale structure, after studying it just now, I found that it can reflect light, and the scattering rate is as high as 84.17%. So, the energy shot by the photon weapon only exerted less than 20% of its power on them, and this 20%, obviously, cannot cause harm to them. The biologist said so much in one breath, and the entire bridge fell into silence. This kind of energy creature has exceeded their thinking and cognition. Even though they have come into contact with life on more than a dozen planets, they have never thought that there will be creatures that can easily resist the attack of photon weapons. Mars, which is famous in a small area, has gained its reputation by relying on this weapon. Of course, there is also the city-destroying energy cannon mounted on the bottom of the flying saucer. When talking about Mars, the first thing that comes to mind for the planets around them is their terrible energy weapons. And this time they came out to capture energy creatures in order to improve their energy weapons again. But what these aliens don't know is that in order to resist the light and heat in the core of the Earth, the lava dragon has evolved this scale structure after hundreds of millions of years. Then our strongest individual weapon has lost its effect. Then how should we deal with them? After listening to the biologist's explanation, many Martians became even more panicked after silent thinking. They have other high-tech weapons, but the strongest one is this optical energy weapon. Since the strongest weapons can't deal with them, these Martians will inevitably be panicked. It's okay. No matter how strong the creatures are, they are still at the level of creatures. No matter how strong they are, they will never be the opponent of Mars number 9. The commander of Mars was uneasy for no reason, but as the boss of a ship, he still had to comfort his subordinates to prevent them from being afraid of fighting. Then, the Martians were no longer in a hurry to die, but tried their best to avoid the arrogant and domineering energy creatures rushing around in the spacecraft. They were waiting for the robots to deal with these monsters. Go, use the individual flying vehicles to find the lost anti-gravity device. Obviously, the star soul of this planet has already used gravity to deal with them, and there will probably be other means next. If the anti-gravity device is not found quickly and returned to the mouth, the consequences will be disastrous. Around the outside of the flying saucer, hundreds of 3-meter-sized hatches slowly opened on the shiny shell. From these hatches, some aliens wearing individual flying vehicles flew out slowly. This flying chess is very small. Each one is only more than 2 meters high and more than 3 meters long, and can only accommodate one Martian to operate it. The shape of these aircraft is very strange, similar to the crashed flying saucer, except that the upper part of the cabin is transparent, and the alien's big head can be seen from it. This transparent design is obviously made for easy observation during combat. The shape of the entire small aircraft is like two bowls and plates buckled together, except that the upper part is transparent. The aircraft is still pouring out of the hatch, and hundreds of small flying saucers appear slowly, and then head towards the place where the anti-gravity device was lost just now. Chapter 41 Battle Situation in Various Places. Lu Liang, who was running rampant inside the flying saucer, of course also noticed the situation of the countless aircraft outside. You dare to come out? You really don't take me seriously. As soon as the countless aircraft flew out of the flying saucer, Lu Liang sensed it. Then he controlled gravity and suddenly exerted gravity on these flying chess pieces. It's their star soul. The anti-gravity power of the individual aircraft is full. The Martian inside the aircraft reacted quickly after falling suddenly. There was a very small anti-gravity device sphere at the bottom of the small aircraft, which maintained its shape. Even these aircraft had such a device? Lu Liang couldn't understand it. That kind of material should be very precious. There is only one in a flying saucer, but he didn't expect that almost everyone in the small aircraft has one. Then feel the power of lightning. See if you little flying saucers can withstand it. Black clouds gathered in the sky, and soon countless electric charges were generated. Lightning and thunder flashed in the black clouds, and all this was done in the blink of an eye. A large area of forest has been covered by the falling UFO, but there is still a forest outside, and the creatures inside are looking for places to hide from this natural disaster. Crack. Several lightning bolts hit the front first. This aircraft obviously does not have the same comprehensive defense as the UFO. With just a few wide-range lightning bolts, some aircraft were shot down and crashed. After the crash, it was found that the cover on the aircraft had been blown to pieces by lightning, and the Martians inside were almost burned. Quick. Fly at low altitude. Seeing that the Star Soul used the power of heaven and earth lightning to deal with them, the aircraft immediately went into the forest and shuttled between the towering treetops. In this way, even if the lightning struck, there is a high probability that they can escape. Those towering trees can withstand a lot of powerful damage for them. Before these flying chess pieces flew at low altitude, Lu Liang only killed 200 or 300 aircraft. That's enough. These flying chess pieces shuttled between the low altitude treetops, and their movement speed was greatly limited. And the time that Lu Liang bought with lightning, his dragon group has been assembled. Inside the flying saucer, Lu Liang, who was controlling the lightning, was stunned. He had tried to do two things at once before, but at a moment like this, he must deal with it with all his heart and soul. Even if it was a Star Soul, he couldn't be careless at this time. Just when he was controlling the lightning outside, a huge mechanical arm suddenly swung in front of him. His current form was still Godzilla, and the huge force of the mechanical arm was placed on Lu Liang's neck. The two thick arms of Mars No. 9 had quietly wrapped around him, and suddenly tightened to strangle Lu Liang. In the bridge of the flying saucer, countless Martians were watching this scene. Although the commander said that Mars No. 9 could easily subdue the monster on this planet, no one had a clear idea before seeing it with their own eyes. Mars No. 9 had already wrapped its mechanical arm around the neck of Godzilla, who was transformed by Lu Liang. Although these Martians had no body, let alone neck, they had seen life forms on other planets, and knew that the neck was the most important part of the body for most creatures. Once the neck is controlled, even if it is not strangled to death, it will slowly die after a period of time due to lack of some substances. This is the disadvantage of the distance between the brain and the heart. The biologist in the bridge said so superiorly. High life forms like us don't have such worries. When they first saw humanoid intelligent creatures, they also found it very difficult to understand. Why would such humanoid creatures have such a distance between the heart and the brain? Such a body structure, in their opinion, is simply full of loopholes. The Martians held their breath one by one, looking at the large screen in front of them nervously, looking forward to the scene where Mars No. 9 twisted Godzilla's neck and strangled him. Woo. Roar. Godzilla on the screen also reacted at this time, and a terrifying roar came out of his huge mouth. Lu Liang, whose body was entangled by Mars No. 9, used his thick but short front paws to reach the mechanical arm, and his two sharp claws pulled these tentacles vigorously, so that the mechanical arm made a headache and toothaking metal friction sound. Seeing this scene in front of them, countless Martians were so nervous. This monster called Godzilla was so powerful. Even the super alloy arm was gradually twisted and deformed by him. Although the alloy on Mars No. 9 was not as strong as the outside of the UFO, it was definitely not comparable to ordinary iron. This power was simply outrageous. The tentacles of Mars No. 9 that bound Lu Liang were slowly pulled apart, but the next second, two molecular alloy blades suddenly shot out from the center of its tentacles. The blades looked extremely sharp and gradually penetrated into Godzilla's neck along its neck. The material of this blade was made of the same material as the outer shell of the UFO. Cutting ordinary alloys was like cutting soft tofu. Martians were found on a rare material planet. After refining and synthesis, they found that the hardness was extremely high. Good steel must of course be used on the blade. In addition to the outer shell of the UFO, only a few precision instruments and combat robots like Mars No. 9 have it. The molecular blade is extremely sharp. It will definitely be able to cut through the neck and head of the Godzilla monster. It's a pity. This way, you can't study living monsters. They are too dangerous. The person in charge of the weapon system of the Martian UFO said proudly to everyone in the bridge. This blade is really powerful. Lu Liang only felt a huge pain in his neck, and the blade was still going deeper. Even a neck with thick skin and flesh like Godzilla seems to be unable to withstand the sharpness of this blade. But Godzilla is already very good. Such a sharp blade rubbed against Godzilla's rough skin and sparked before being inserted into the body. Godzilla's strong skin made the Martians tremble with fear. If there is no such a powerful blade, it is probably impossible to break the defense of this energy creature. The blade finally cut Godzilla's skin 10 centimeters deep and successfully cut into the flesh and blood inside. At this moment, a fierce and dazzling light rushed out from the broken skin. What's going on? The big screen in the Martian UFO bridge was so bright that it was impossible to see the battle situation clearly. After dimming the screen, they discovered that the large amount of blood spurting out from the wound of this Godzilla was as red as magma. Such high temperature blood corroded and melted the mechanical arm around Lu Liang's neck, along with the blade that had just been pulled out. Chapter 42. Great Power. No. How can this blood have such a high temperature? Is this something that a living being can achieve? Lu Liang kept breaking the common sense that the Martians understood. Godzilla's blood can reach a terrifying 5000 degrees Celsius. Not to mention ordinary steel. Even this alloy material will melt, or even turn into molten iron under the corrosion of blood. Too strong. I order to lift the restrictions on Mars 9 and allow the use of energy weapons. Commander, no. Mars 9 is now inside the spacecraft. If the restrictions are not lifted, are you going to be the opponent of that monster? Stop talking nonsense. Yes, Commander. After receiving the accurate order, the Martian engineer on the bridge quickly used various commands to operate the console until he finally pressed a red button and the restrictions on Mars 9 were finally lifted. Lu Liang also felt it. He felt that at this moment, the robot in front of him began to become different. With its two strongest mechanical arms broken, it did not continue to make movements, but stood still, looking as if it had given up half of the attack. But immediately, its smooth metal head opened quickly, revealing a strange eye with a diameter of more than 1 meter. The eye became brighter and brighter, and a powerful force gathered there. This was not a strange eye, but a terrifying muzzle. This nuclear energy cannon is powerful, but if it misses, the interior of the spacecraft will be severely damaged. We can't care about so much now. If we don't kill them, we will all die. The light on the robot's head became brighter and brighter. Lu Liang felt threatened and opened his mouth, as if he wanted to compete. Under the gaze of countless Martians, the muzzle on the forehead of Mars number 9 suddenly shot out a powerful nuclear energy, bombarding Lu Liang who was confronting him. But Lu Liang did not sit still and wait for death. He also shot out energy rays from his mouth that had opened early. Between the two powerful opponents, there was a beam of light that was so powerful that it distorted the space. Equally matched. This creature has simply refreshed my bottom line. The Martians have seen the energy beams ejected by Godzilla, but they never expected that the power of that beam was actually on par with the nuclear energy beam. In addition to being shocked, these Martians were undoubtedly staring at the screen nervously. They were now more frightened than before. Who would win in the end would determine the fate of countless people. The heart energy of Godzilla, who was transformed by Lu Liang, was endless. After all, he was a star soul, and all the energy on his planet could be used for his own use. But the Martian robot in confrontation was different. Commander, the energy of the ship is being consumed rapidly. 60%, 40%, what? It has fallen below 10%. The energy has been completely exhausted. It's over. We are all finished. The core energy weapon carried by Mars number 9 is connected to the energy of the ship. The body of the machine alone cannot withstand such powerful energy. But after only 1 minute, it has exhausted all the energy in the ship. Now, there is no beam shooting out of the muzzle on the head. The confrontation between Lu Liang and Mars number 9 ended when the energy of Mars number 9 and the ship was exhausted. How is this possible? Under the dejected and desperate eyes of the Martians, the monster Godzilla on the screen patted his belly, as if he was still not satisfied. Many Martians also reacted. It was not an energy bombardment just now. It was that Godzilla who opened his mouth and absorbed all the energy shot out by Mars number 9. The Martians in the bridge were dumbfounded. At this moment, the shock seemed to be greater than the fear of impending death. The entire bridge was silent, as if a needle drop could be heard. Lu Liang patted his half-bulged belly, looking unsatisfied. That's it? Yes. When the giant robot in front of him gathered power just now, he felt a familiar energy. It was not just the power emanating from the core of the earth, but also the nuclear energy that Godzilla relied on in the science fiction movies of the previous life. Sure enough, after enjoying this energy, Lu Liang seemed to be more interested. Obviously, nuclear energy is more refreshing than the slowly absorbed Earth core energy, and is more suitable for Godzilla's evolution. But the amount is too small now. Tut tut. It was this absorption behavior just now that made the Martians in the bridge think that the two were engaging in an energy bombardment, and Lu Liang was still savoring the nuclear power. The nuclear energy emitted by this robot has many impurities compared to the Earth core energy, and is not pure enough. But creatures like Godzilla obviously prefer nuclear power. After all, it is an instinct ingrained in DNA. The energy of the giant robot in front of him has been exhausted, and he just stood there without moving. The two huge pupils have dimmed, without the color just now. Lu Liang directly tore it apart with his claws. Then, two more robots came out of the passage. It seems that the Martians hope to use the sharp blade to kill Lu Liang. If these monsters that are rampant in the spacecraft are not dead, then the spacecraft and all the life on it will die. In the bridge, the high-level officials of Mars looked at the screen images, and their faces were as ugly as if they had eaten excrement. These Godzilla monsters seemed to be tireless, destroying wherever they went. The compatriots who didn't have time to escape were brutally slaughtered, and countless precision instruments were destroyed. Even Mars 9 was no match for these Godzilla monsters. The only thing that comforted them was that those flying lava dragons could not fly in the spacecraft, and they were no match for Mars 9 in a head-on fight. But the important problem at present was that these domineering Godzillas could not even be done by Mars 9, and there were no weapons in the spacecraft that could deal with them. The terrifying Godzilla monsters followed the various passages of the spacecraft, destroying and tearing apart everything they could see. What should we do? Even though their brains were extremely developed, they couldn't think of a solution for the time being, and could only watch these monster Godzillas wreak havoc. Commander, the only solution at the moment is to find a way to get these Godzillas out. As for a search, I think it's better to save our lives first. Lord Starsoul will definitely not blame us. The only shortcoming of a powerful creature like Godzilla is that it is too bulky to fly. Now we can't trap them, let alone subdue them, so we can only find a way to put them back to the mainland. Otherwise, it's only a matter of time before both the people and the ship are destroyed. However, now the spacecraft is firmly sucked to the ground by the starsoul of this planet. If we want to take off again, the only way is to find the anti-gravity device. Chapter 43. This is a trap. Outside the flying saucer, countless small aircraft had already flown close to the ground near where the anti-gravity device fell. The arrival of these aircraft disturbed the creatures in the dense forest, and countless animals fled in all directions. While these animals were running out, a group of creatures did go in the opposite direction and gathered here. It was a huge group of dragons. The scales of the lava dragons reflected a metallic luster under the light, and on their backs, there was a dragon man. These dragon men had sharp eyes, riding dragons under their crotches, and were responsible for commanding them to fight side by side. The intelligence of the lava dragons was not as good as that of the dragon men. They only knew how to use brute force and energy, and had no tactics at all. In the chaotic battle, it was easy to hurt their own people, but the dragon men on their backs had greatly enhanced their wisdom. At least they knew how to fight together, and could tame the lava dragons into powerful combat forces. Thousands of dragons flew over, covering the sky and the sun. They were well trained, and formed a formation, led by a dragon in the front. The dragons in front of the formation saw the small aircraft shuttling below. Woo! Each dragon was equipped with a sharp spear. Lu Liang didn't know what material it was made of, but it must be related to the original colleges. It must be made of some metal. It looks very sharp. After receiving the command, countless lava dragons and dragon knights dived down and quickly approached the small aircraft. When they were about to approach the ground, the lava dragons in the front row opened their mouths at the same time, and condensed energy in their mouths. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The sound of the lava fireballs coming out came from the top of the small aircraft. Through the transparent cover of the upper part of the aircraft, the Martians saw a scene that frightened them. The endless rain of fireballs carpet bombed the area where their Martian aircraft was located. These Dragon Knights were divided into 3 teams. After the first team finished spraying, the second team followed closely. At the same time, the third team was also accumulating energy and preparing to spray fireballs. In the eyes of the Martians, it was these giant dragons that continuously sprayed fireballs at them, launching endless covering attacks. Boom. 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 Fireballs fell one by one, and hundreds of aircraft were destroyed in the carpet bombing. The protective shields above the aircraft could not withstand the powerful energy attack of the fireballs, and the Martians inside were burned to death one by one. The dense forest instantly turned into a sea of fire. The Martians also organized a counterattack. They used the photon energy weapons carried by the aircraft to attack the lava dragons. Unfortunately, they did not see the scene in the bridge of the flying saucer before, and did not know that photon energy had no effect on the lava dragons. The lava dragons above their heads, after a round of collective baptism by aircraft, did not suffer any losses at all. Only dozens of dragon people were not very lucky and were hit. They did not have the thick and rough skin of the lava dragons, so their defense was naturally unable to withstand the photon weapons. While the dragons launched fireballs to attack, they gradually approached the aircraft under their feet. In a short time, the Martians, who had lost more than half of their number, had no choice but to retreat. In the current situation, it was impossible to hope to retrieve the anti-gravity device. A young Martian was manipulating the aircraft and desperately escaping. If he didn't run now, staying would only lead to his own death. The strong desire to survive urged him to control the aircraft and desperately fly towards the mothership. Faster. 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 He roared madly in his heart, and the movement of his tentacles was getting faster and faster. Boom. A huge sound accompanied by a force caused his aircraft to turn upside down and crash to the ground. It was a fireball that hit his aircraft. But fortunately, his aircraft only fell due to the impact, and some important instruments were not destroyed. In other words, it can still fly. He quickly used his tentacles to control the control panel, trying to set sail again. But at this time, the cabin of the aircraft suddenly became dark, without a trace of light. The Martian looked up tremblingly, and saw the bloody mouth of a giant dragon. Report. The individual flying vehicle is under attack by the monster. Now we are requesting to return to the mothership and request support from the mothership. Report. Our outbound flying vehicle has suffered heavy losses, and half of them have been killed or injured. Request quick support from the mothership. Report. Report. They are too powerful. Someone come to rescue us. Damn it, photon weapons can't do anything to them. There's no way to escape. They fly very fast. Request support, you bastards. Do you just want to watch us die or be injured? Bridge center? I'm the remaining soldier. When will you? Help. One by one, the communications from the outside world were transmitted to the bridge command center and the flying saucer. These senior executives were livid, and the tentacles on their bodies were swinging back and forth angrily. It's not that they don't want to go out to support, but the flying saucer is still under attack now, and they have no time to care about them outside. It's over. There are more monsters outside than in the ship. The biological exploration radar found that countless giant beasts are rushing towards the ship from all directions. It seems that we are going to be trapped here. I know. This is a trap. This is a huge conspiracy. Yes, they deliberately leaked the coordinates to attract the outside world to their planet, and then finally caught the turtle in the jar. Commander, contact Lord Xinghan and report the news of our complete defeat to the Lord. We may still have a glimmer of hope for survival. How can we report this? If Lord Xinghan knew that his ship could not deal with a planet with primitive civilization, not to mention Lord Xinghan, he would not be able to bear the ridicule from other ship commanders. Commander, don't hesitate. This is not our fault. This is obviously a trap. A trap. Trap. Mars Commander has a big head and an extremely developed brain. After being reminded by others, he also had a flash of inspiration. Yes, this is a trap from beginning to end. Let me ask, who would publish the coordinates of their planet in the entire starfield? If the civilization of this planet is weak, their other star souls will definitely find ways to occupy, plunder and devour it. How could they dare to publish the coordinates? This kind of problem was naturally considered when sailing here. But he relied on his own civilization to rank among the best in this star domain, so he was not afraid at all. When they first came to this planet, they were still surprised by the resources and abundant creatures on this planet. But now, their hearts are all filled with fear, because the creatures on this planet are far beyond their understanding and cognition. The unknown is the most terrifying. But now that they understand it, several of them are difficult to deal with and there is no way to deal with them. And this planet, such creatures. How many such horrors exist? Moreover, the Mars commander knows it in his heart. It's like playing cards. You have a pair of 3, and the other party directly has 4 twice. Even the king bomb has not been sacrificed yet. Chapter 44 author single chapter. It's almost 100,000 words, but the data is not very good. I have stopped pushing it. I want to ask, how many people are still here, still want to read, and are even willing to pay to subscribe to read it? The current data makes it difficult for people to stick to it. I'm a full-time author, and I want to eat dumplings during the Chinese New Year, so I'm very sorry, but as long as readers are supportive and leave comments to express their desire to read it, I will quickly put it on the shelves and update 10,000 words a day. So, if you want to continue reading, please leave a comment. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 45, Fighting to the Bitter End. Commander, our spaceship has been surrounded. There are humanoid creatures among the monsters. Outside the Martian UFO, the Dragon Group has carried the Dragon people and surrounded the UFO tightly from all sides. There are tens of thousands of them. Such a dense density makes the Martians terrified. Not only in the sky, but also on land. Godzilla monsters sometimes run in front of the UFO. Countless dragons and Godzillas use various attacks to violently output to the outer shell of the UFO. Even superalloys cannot withstand such a large number of joint attacks. The outer shell of the UFO gradually becomes soft, and then gradually twists and deforms. Finally, the powerful attack melted holes in the UFO, revealing the cabin inside, and the Martians with horror in their eyes. Commander, they are going to rush in. Quick, defend quickly. The outer shell has been damaged, revealing countless terrifying holes. The aliens in the UFO no longer choose to be turtles. They use individual flying vehicles to rush out of the spacecraft and fight against Godzilla and the dragons. Countless Mars No-9s also rushed to the broken hole in time to defend the monsters from attacking. For a while, fireballs and lasers splashed everywhere in the sky and on the ground. However, the defense of Godzilla and the dragon was extremely terrifying. They could hardly cause effective damage and were just struggling to survive. From time to time, there were dragons carrying dragon people rushing into the flying saucer from the increasingly large hole. These dragon people are indeed creatures created by alien templates. They all have keen senses. These dragon people are very sensitive to heat energy and can easily sense the body temperature of Martians. In this way, even if Martians hide, they will still be pulled out and slaughtered. The dragon people who came in were also very smart. They did not choose to ride on the dragons and be restricted by the terrain, but let the dragons destroy everything in the flying saucer. They climbed on the walls everywhere and entered the narrow places where the dragons could not enter. More and more dragon people rushed in, gradually infiltrating every corner of the flying saucer and killing all the Martians they met. At this moment, the Martians saw the dragon people as if they had seen the god of death. The physical strength of the Martians is simply incomparable to that of the dragons. Their powerful weapons are all protecting the entrance to the cave, so the Martians have very limited offensive capabilities. Zzz. The tooth-aching metal friction sound rang out on the bridge. Then, with a piercing sound, the metal wall of the bridge was broken by a giant claw, revealing a terrifying big hole. Then a huge head came in and scanned all the Martians on the bridge with his terrifying eyes. When the Martians saw these monsters on the screen, they were just surprised by their terrifying destructive power and offensive power. When they really appeared in front of them, the Martians didn't even have the idea of resisting. But they still subconsciously left their respective positions and wanted to escape from this already unsafe place. But where is there a safe place? I saw Godzilla at the entrance of the big hole, using energy beams to burn the entire bridge command center into a sea of fire. Countless Martians died quickly, and this scene fell into the eyes of the Martian commander with a huge head, but he didn't have any thoughts of resistance. Everyone was dead, and the next one might be him. This time, are we going to fail on this primitive planet? The Mars commander's eyes were full of regret and unwillingness. No. We must report this to Lord Starsoul. As the highest commander of a ship, he still remembered his mission and identity responsibilities. This Mars commander was once rewarded with a trace of star core power by the Mars Starsoul for his outstanding military exploits. It was this power that caused his brain to mutate, becoming smarter and bigger. At the same time, he also gained some special abilities. Among them, it includes crossing ultra-long distances, using radiation to travel through the starry sky, and contacting the star soul of the mother planet. More than 20 light years away, in the Martian fleet heading to Chaos Star, a person who looked no different from an ordinary Martian felt something strange. This precise radiation came from the commander of the pioneer ship he sent to Chaos Star. The Mars Star Soul smiled, and then used the power of the Star Soul to connect the commander's consciousness. What's the matter? Chaos Star has been occupied? You did a great job, a great achievement. No. Lord Star Soul. We were fooled. Please don't come again. What's going on? Mars Star Soul didn't expect that the commander of this pioneer ship was not reporting good news. His ships have always been invincible in this starfield. Even if other Star Souls knew that Mars was going to attack Chaos Star, they all gave up their plans against Chaos Star. Even so, there was an accident? Or is this guy a fool? He can't even attack primitive civilization. Thinking of this, Mars Star Soul's face lit up, looking very dangerous. The commander of the Martian ship on Chaos Star didn't know where to start, so he simply passed the video on the screen to the Mars Star Soul. In his mind, all kinds of tragic conditions of the flying saucer appeared instantly. Countless dragons were wreaking havoc inside the spacecraft, and they could spray powerful fireballs from their mouths, which were more powerful than the energy cannons on the Martian ships. Moreover, the defense is also extremely amazing. The weapons in the hands of the Martians not only have no effect on them, but some are even absorbed. Countless humanoid creatures with a height of more than 2 meters are lurking in every corner of the flying saucer, slaughtering countless Martians in countless areas. There is also the giant Godzilla. They are still shooting energy rays outside the flying saucer, opening more holes for dragon people and dragons to drill in. The alloy material that the Martians are most proud of can only be melted by the attack power of these rays. Even their war weapon Mars No. 9 can't do anything about these powerful creatures. This is impossible. The various tragic conditions in the spacecraft made the Mars Star Soul look dumbfounded. Master Star Soul, I don't want to believe this is true, but this is the fact. This is a trap. Don't come again. Zzzzzz. The familiar voice reached the ears of the Martian commander, who was in the center of the bridge. The sea of fire just now did not do anything to him, because he activated the only remaining energy shield, which covered him for more than 10 meters. But now, the energy ray was destroying the energy shield. With a crisp sound, the energy was not much to begin with, and it could not resist the attack of the beam shot by this Godzilla. More shattering sounds were heard, and finally, the energy shield broke. A Godzilla broken. Chapter 46 Join in the fun? Question mark? This Godzilla is different from ordinary monsters. He is tilting his head to look at this weird Martian. This Martian is so strange. His head is so much bigger than others. This guy has such a big head. Was he the one who emitted the radiation just now? That's right, the Godzilla who broke in is Lu Liang. Only he can recklessly spray light in the spacecraft. After all, his energy is infinite. The big-headed Martian in front of him has a head that is more than 10 meters long. Most of his head is filled with various cables and thick tubes connected to various parts of the bridge. However, his curiosity only lasted for a moment. Then, he was about to shoot out light to destroy everything in front of him. He felt the power of the star soul in the other party's body, as well as the Martian star soul connected to its consciousness. The other party must have recognized him at the first time, so now he must seize the opportunity and completely destroy the other party. Wait. Chaos, I admit that your trap is very clever. A radiation was transmitted from space to the approximate range near Chaos Star. Although the distance is far enough that the radiation will have difficulty finding the target, the Mars commander has just connected to the Mars Star Soul and naturally knows the approximate location. The Mars Star Soul does not care about the radiation information being known by other Star Souls. His planetary civilization is among the best in this starfield, and no Star Soul dares to touch his bad luck. Lu Liang certainly knew this information, but he did not respond, but the energy light in his mouth gradually dimmed. I'm the Mars Star Soul. The radiation of the Mars Star Soul came again. Joining in the fun is a hobby of intelligent creatures and Star Souls. When the radiation of the Mars Star Soul came, the whole starry sky became noisy. It was like a group chat that had been silent for a long time, and it became active again for a short time, because someone posted a cute picture. Mars? He really attacked Chaos. Just watch the show. Mars has long threatened to kill Chaos, and now I don't know what's going on. Oh, I was going to get a share of the spoils, but Mars has spoken. We are not strong enough, so we have to give in. Mars is very powerful, but my 3 bodies are not inferior to anyone. What does Mars mean by trap? Is he being plotted by Chaos? No way. When he was exposed last time, wasn't his civilization very primitive except for the energy creatures? He couldn't even do interstellar travel, so how could he plot or threaten Mars? For a while, the entire starfield was in an uproar, and the Star Souls who wanted to join in the fun discussed it. Some of these Star Soul tombs are really powerful, and they analyze the Martian civilization they know about, and the previously exposed Chaos content in detail. Some are just like the keyboard warriors in the previous life. Although their own planet has not even produced intelligent creatures, they despise or look down on other planets. It seems that, as long as they have civilization, they can beat everything. The 2 planets that were the focus of the discussion were Chaos, whose detailed coordinates were exposed, and became the target of all the Star Souls. Over the past few hundred years, the heat about Lu Liang being exposed has never subsided. The other planet was Mars, one of the strongest in this starfield. It had devoured more than a dozen Star Soul planets with its strength, and plundered countless resource planets for colonization. These Star Souls dared to discuss, just like the keyboard warriors in the previous life. Anyway, they would not be found, so they naturally said whatever they thought of. Chaos, you performed this conspiracy really well. Mars ignored the radiation information of other Star Souls, and questioned Lu Liang. In his opinion, there was no need to pay attention to these low-level Star Souls. After questioning, he continued to pretend to be smart. You deliberately exposed your coordinates in order to attract planets with interstellar navigation capabilities, creatures and even Star Souls to your planet. Chaos Star. Although the civilization level is very low and the strength is even worse, in our eyes it is a fish on the chopping board, an existence that can be slaughtered at will. But no one expected that the creatures on your planet have evolved to such a terrifying level. Since my civilization has the ability to navigate in space, it has been working hard to colonize and plunder resource planets, and only after devouring countless Star Souls did it develop nuclear energy. But what about you? You are just a protozoan. You have terrible energy attacks, not inferior to nuclear energy at all. It seems that you must have mastered the laws of biological evolution, or have powerful biological genetic technology. I know, the biggest shortcoming of your planet is that it has no interstellar navigation capabilities. If I guessed correctly, you exposed yourself in order to attract other Star Souls, and then resist and defeat them to study spacecraft and steal the technology of other Star Souls. Chaos, your trap conspiracy is really despicable. Lu Liang was dumbfounded. He was completely confused by Mars' analysis. This Mars Star Soul made such a serious analysis that I almost believed it. But there is also a clever part. This Mars Star Soul could actually guess that I have biological gene technology without ever seeing me. Lu Liang does have biological gene technology, so it is naturally the golden finger system. In a sense, Mars' guess is not wrong at all. But the planetary coordinates are really not my conspiracy. This is too unfair. No, it is the star soul that is wronged. Hearing so much radiation information, the star souls of the entire starfield are all boiling. These contents are really too exciting. To be honest, they have never had such an idea, exposing their own coordinates and then attracting people. If they were to do it themselves, these star souls probably don't have the courage to do so. But Chaos Star, exposing its position, is to fight to support the war, capture spacecraft for a search, and improve its overall strength. How confident does Chaos have to be to make such a bold decision? Why are you so arrogant, Chaos, and why are you so confident that no star soul can be stronger than you? If you do this, if there is a planet stronger than you, won't it be swallowed up directly? Even if it is as powerful as Mars, he dare not expose his coordinates. He is already so powerful, and he still knows the truth, that there is always someone better. You, Chaos Star, are too arrogant. What? Chaos Star is acting? Playing the pig to eat the tiger? This is too bold. I knew it was a trap a long time ago, but I just didn't tell you. Who is so stupid to reveal the coordinates? It's hindsight, right? This is a trap. Who doesn't know? There are really no star souls who don't know, right? Even though Mars had warned, there are still some powerful star souls who want to get a share of the pie, but at this moment, no matter what the radiation information says, most of them have agreed to let their fleets stay for a while, and wait and see the situation of the two protagonists. But they must have believed it in their hearts, otherwise they would not stop. Besides, Mars, such a powerful star soul, actually said it in a starfield, and he must have suffered a loss. It is not in his interest to strengthen the momentum of others. But at this moment, a radiation message came out, telling the information of the shocking star soul. I was the one who exposed the chaos coordinates. He is not strong. As long as the fleet is sent over, he will surely die. Anyone can devour him. Chapter 47, Star Soul Quarrel. The one who emitted this radiation information was naturally the alien star soul. It was actually difficult for him to understand that the Mars, which had devoured so many Mars, and had high-end combat power, had also fallen on Chaos Star. The alien also recalled the terrifying Godzilla monster. But no matter how terrible Godzilla was, it was just a creature. How could it compete with a spaceship with the ability to navigate in space? He was very nervous now. It was him who leaked the coordinates at the beginning. If no one heard about the contents of the Mars Star Soul, they would be willing to devour and destroy Chaos. If Chaos developed interstellar technology in the future, he would definitely seek revenge on him all over the world. The distance between him and Chaos Star was only a few light years. In the vast universe, this distance was too close. He had to worry about himself. If Chaos was determined to find him for revenge in the future, it would only be a matter of time before he found his alien home planet. At this time, the word Chaos had said appeared in his mind again. I will find you and devour you myself. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but shudder. No, we must convince the star souls in this starfield to devour Chaos. We must not leave him a chance to develop, otherwise we will not be able to sleep at night. Star souls, what I said is very true. I was the one who revealed the coordinates of Chaos Star. He is really not strong, and his civilization is still in its primitive stage. His energy creatures can only spray high temperature flames. That powerful Godzilla monster, I admit that it is very strong, but so what? As we all know, the more powerful the creature, the rarer it is. I have only seen one. If you are not prepared, it will not be your turn to devour it. The Martian Star Soul was furious when he heard the words of the alien Star Soul. Bullshit. There are only one of them? There are obviously tens of thousands. Also, is that an ordinary high temperature flame? That's an energy bomb that can be comparable to a nuclear shell. One shot can blow up my alloy. Also, the light of the Godzilla monster can't even do anything to the nuclear energy, and it was even absorbed by him. My most powerful war weapon has no ability to fight back. Tell me, are you an accomplice of Chaos conspiracy? It's you who helped him expose the coordinates and then framed other star souls. If you have the guts, tell me your name. Question mark? The alien star soul was numb. He never thought that in just a short period of time, there were already tens of thousands of such powerful creatures, and energy cannons comparable to nuclear shells. When he first encountered it, it was clearly not that powerful. The Mars Star Soul couldn't lie to him. It would not benefit anyone, and would only strengthen the momentum of chaos. So, everything he said was true. In fact, it is not difficult to understand that Lu Liang has been improving his strength all the time over the years. Lu Liang studied the gene bank in the system and thoroughly studied countless genes. His mastery of genes has reached the level of Chengdu. For the original creatures, many fine-tuning changes were naturally made. Naturally, creatures will become stronger due to gene optimization. Especially the powerful Godzilla, whose body has leaped to about 50 meters. The skin has also become tougher and thicker, and the heat resistance has been greatly improved. Molecular level metal may be able to break through the skin and hurt him. The most genetically optimized is Godzilla's energy gland. After optimization, the volume of the gland has been significantly increased, becoming tougher and releasing energy faster. Most importantly, the high temperature of the emitted light has also increased sharply, and it is feared that it has reached tens of thousands of degrees Celsius, including the dragon. The size, flight speed, strength, and the defensive strength of the scales have also been greatly improved. All these evolutionary actions have occurred in the past few hundred years, so the aliens naturally cannot know. But he still didn't want to believe that Lu Liang had become so powerful. Impossible. I was only one step away from devouring his star core. He couldn't have become so strong in such a short time. The Mars Star Soul sneered at this unknown Star Soul even more. Oh, it's exposed now? The Star Soul you can't beat is not far superior to you, and it's impossible to resist. Do you think I haven't devoured other Star Souls? Besides, if you are only one step away, it means that your strength is evenly matched. How could you reveal his coordinates? Wouldn't it be better to keep it for yourself and devour it later? I can't defeat him, but it's definitely not because he is too strong. Because I'm too weak. If I had a strong fleet, I wouldn't need to develop time at all, and I could kill him directly. If you don't believe me, you can watch it. I definitely didn't lie to you. The alien was still quibbling, and even the radiation information it emitted was accompanied by a video. The content of the video was the situation when his alien creatures fought with the lava dragons. The last part was when Godzilla sprayed energy beams at the alien queen. Even with the convincing video, he still failed to convince the Star Souls, and even got himself into trouble. Arsehole, you are the damn alien. My planet was almost occupied by you. A Star Soul immediately recognized the alien's identity. Watching the alien army being slaughtered by the dragons in the video, he was very pleased, but he still couldn't help cursing. Don't believe this alien Star Soul. He is nothing. He once exposed his coordinates, tricked people in the name of biological exchange, and then let his alien creatures take them away, parasitizing on other people's planets, and waiting for an opportunity to start a war. This Star Soul is nothing. But the alien ignored him and continued to add, look, this flying dragon creature is only slightly stronger than ordinary creatures, but it can spit out fireballs, and the rays ejected by the monster Godzilla cannot exceed 10,000 degrees Celsius. I think it is only 2,000 to 3,000 degrees Celsius at most. Why don't you take out the video of your previous life? Since no one believes it, I will show you the latest video. After Mars retorted, he pushed the situation happening on Chaos Star to the entire starfield in the form of radiation content. Countless dragons with metallic skin and ordinary energy weapons. Huge Godzilla with a ray that shoots through countless alloys. The ghost-like dragon man shuttled through the spacecraft and hunted the Martians mercilessly. These three creatures were extremely powerful, shocking many Star Souls in this starfield. Is this a creature? Seeing the powerful energy beam spit out from Godzilla's mouth, many Star Souls were stunned. Such a powerful creature was far beyond their cognition. Even the alien Star Soul fell into a long silence after watching these images. Chapter 48 Returning Home. See. Chaos is slaughtering my creatures, and some people say this is not a trap? The Martian said with more anger. I will never tolerate his conspiracy to succeed. You can't send creatures to him anymore. If you don't listen, when he has the ability to travel through the stars, you will be the first to suffer. Don't be too scared. Give me 10,000 years, and when I develop the Star Destroyer, I will make him annihilate in the universe forever. Hearing this information from the Martian Star Souls, countless Star Souls fell into deep fear. Not only are they afraid of the terrifying strength of Lu Liang's planet, but they are also afraid of the Martian civilization. He is actually already researching the Star Destroyer. Lu Liang, who heard such a long piece of information, was amused. These Star Souls are so imaginative that even the Star Souls in this starfield are afraid of themselves. Then, cooperating with such a play will benefit me a lot, so why not do it? Smart. You have seen through my plan. Lu Liang released radiation information to the starfield. He wanted to make his powerful imagination come true and let these Star Souls not disturb his evolution and development. I'm chaos. Since you have seen through me, there is no need for me to hide it. Yes, I have biological genetic technology, but what Mars said is also right. My interstellar navigation ability is limited. If any of you are brave enough, you can try it. Help me develop interstellar navigation technology. It will be a great achievement for you. I will devour you second. Seeing the real chaos come out to admit it, countless radiation noises in the starfield. Chaos. He came out and admitted it. It's really a trap. Too arrogant. Aren't you worried that there are really people stronger than you? Mars has fallen, and I'm afraid that no civilization in our starfield can deal with him for the time being. What do you mean? Do you want us to form a fleet and go to encircle and annihilate him together? Such a powerful person must be strangled in the cradle. It's just like the real thing. Would you trust other Star Souls? I'm afraid that the encirclement and annihilation fleet formed by Star Souls will fight each other before reaching Chaos Star. Goodbye, goodbye. My ship flies slowly, so I'm going away. Countless ships heading to Chaos Star are analyzing the image information scattered by Mars. They believe that they are not stronger than Mars, so it is nonsense to still go to Chaos and want to devour him. Therefore, these spaceships have no choice but to go back home and decide not to wade into this muddy water. Seeing countless Star Souls say this, Lu Liang is secretly happy. Originally, he was very troubled by the problem of his coordinates being exposed. Now that Mars has been making such a fuss, I can have some peace again. Without the harassment of other Star Souls, my civilization can develop better and develop the ability of interstellar navigation as soon as possible. Most importantly, the communication of these Star Souls brought Lu Liang a very important message. It turns out that Mars is already the top civilization in this starfield, and I'm fully capable of resisting the invasion of these Star Souls. Everyone is at the same starting line, and the development of civilization is mostly the same. Because of the high intensity mutation and development of the brain, Mars was the first to give birth to powerful wisdom, developed civilization early, and then became famous in this starfield. But now, the weapons that the Martians are proud of can't do anything to the life on their own planet. Other Star Souls also know the gap between themselves and Mars, and it is normal to give up the idea of invasion. Especially when they see the influence conveyed by Mars, their common knowledge is impacted, and they can't understand why Lu Liang's planet is so powerful. So, this is a coincidence, and suddenly there are at least tens of millions of years of development time. Alien Star Soul, I'm very grateful to you. Thanks to your help, I now have a Martian ship. When I study his ship and rush into the universe, I will be the first to visit you. Hearing Lu Liang's radiation information, the alien was immediately shocked. It's bad. The worst has happened. If the Martian ship is really on Chaos Star, then after his civilization studies a ship, it will definitely rush out of the universe earlier than before. When those giant dragons and Godzilla come to his planet, I don't know if his tens of billions of aliens can withstand it. Seeing the latest images of Mars, the alien has completely lost his confidence. He can only pray that day will come later. Maybe there will be a Star Soul one step ahead to destroy Chaos Star. The Martian ship has crashed, and it is impossible to escape from the gravity of the Star Soul. But Mars did not end there. He immediately conveyed the message angrily. Mars Commander, the time to fulfill your mission has come. Self-destruct. Don't let our technology fall into the hands of the enemy. Mars Commander is the highest commander of this ship. His ships are also the most powerful in the entire Martian civilization. He has repeatedly made military achievements. When attacking a star soul, he even controlled the ship to destroy the incarnation of the planet and help the Mars star soul to kill away to the star core. After devouring this star soul, Mars rewarded him with a trace of power. For the star soul, this trace of power is insignificant, but for a creature, such a powerful force directly caused him to mutate and made his brain evolve at a high speed. He is now using this trace of power to resist the energy rays from Godzilla. Although he can barely resist, his energy is limited after all, and Godzilla is indeed endless. In fact, Lu Liang was distracted just now, observing the radiation information of the star souls. Otherwise the Mars commander would have died long ago, which is why the Mars commander has survived until now. After his brain evolved, he can exert part of the power of the star soul. He used gravity to smash several burning huge instruments into Lu Liang's Godzilla incarnation. But his meager star soul power is like a firefly in the sun in front of Lu Liang. Playing gravity in front of Lu Liang is nothing. These burning huge instruments were instantly seized by Lu Liang, and then smashed into the energy barrier of the big-headed Martian. At this time, the Mars star soul asked the Mars commander to self-destruct and destroy the radiation information. The Mars commander's eyes revealed a trace of viciousness, and then his brain began to condense a powerful star soul energy. This energy is not only in him, but also transmitted to all parts of the spacecraft through the tubes on his body. It's broken. Lu Liang was not worried about the damage caused by the explosion of the ship. Even if the damage from his self-explosion was enough to destroy a continent, it would not make him too uncomfortable. But in this way, all the high-end technology in the ship would be gone. He still wanted to keep this ship and let his civilization study it. If he could thoroughly study this ship, then the speed of his planetary civilization flying into space would be greatly advanced. Seeing that his energy rays could not break this barrier in a short time, Lu Liang simply stepped forward and crashed into it. Boom. After a loud bang, Godzilla hit the energy barrier heavily. There's a play. Lu Liang's eyes lit up. With his collision, the energy barrier obviously dimmed a lot. Even though the high temperature continued to hurt Lu Liang's body, even a strong defense like Godzilla would still be hurt by the remaining energy of the entire spacecraft. Although the progress was difficult, Lu Liang could still slowly get into the barrier. Chapter 49 New Creatures. Although the progress was difficult, Lu Liang was still able to slowly drill into the barrier. Lu Liang's skin was constantly hit by this energy. Even Godzilla, who could withstand the high temperature of magma, was eroded by this violent particle barrier, revealing the horrible blood and bones inside. After Lu Liang completely drilled into the barrier, his Godzilla incarnation was already a bloody mess, and his body was constantly spurting out super high temperature blood. Raw. He first used the ray to cut the official road on the Martian commander's body, cutting off the connection between the Martian commander and the ship, and destroying the plan to destroy the entire ship. The Martian commander who was disconnected from the ship was no longer a threat to Lu Liang. At this time, the energy shield also lost its last energy supply, and the barrier had disappeared. Heh, didn't you catch up? Lu Liang didn't intend to kill him. The Martians must have a lot of knowledge about their planet in their big heads, and they are left here until. Lu Liang was still thinking, but he saw the big head in front of him. His eyes suddenly flashed, and in an instant he sensed that the Martians running around on the planet all fell to the ground, and the small aircraft in flight also lost control and crashed to the ground. These Martians were all brain dead due to the unique brain function of the Martian commander. After being unable to destroy this spaceship, this was his last stubbornness. Looking at the Martian commander who had no life in front of him, Lu Liang finally sighed. Oh, I didn't expect that there was such a trick. The plan to obtain their knowledge was completely ruined. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the body of mutant creature. Do you want to put him into the genetic experiment for analysis? With this system prompt sound, it proved that the war was over. Lu Liang first ordered Godzilla and the dragon not to destroy the interior of the spaceship. At present, this ship is the foundation for them to break out of the universe in the future. In addition to this ship, that has not yet been deciphered, Lu Liang's biggest gain this time is naturally the bodies of these Martians. Although they are all dead and the knowledge in their minds has not been extracted, these Martian bodies are still very valuable research materials. In genetic experiments, the genes in their bodies can be analyzed to find many practical and powerful ones. Lu Liang let the planetary creatures gradually leave the spacecraft, and the spacecraft will stay here until his planetary civilization has enough knowledge to study it in detail. At this stage, it is not time yet. He just wants to find a quiet place to study the genetic structure of these Martians. Lu Liang's consciousness returned to the core of the star, where he opened the genetic laboratory and began to study the newly acquired Martians. The body of the Martian commander has disappeared from the spacecraft. It was in the genetic laboratory that it was repeatedly scanned and analyzed by the system. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained an alien intelligent creature, and I hereby reward you with 2 million biological points. We are analyzing the genes of alien life, and the creature is called Martian. Analyzed A-level gene fragment. Intelligent brain. Intelligent brain has very powerful performance, outstanding thinking and analytical abilities, and integrated into the biological gene body, it can greatly improve its brain, significantly improve memory and thinking ability. This gene fragment of the brain is rated as A-level. It is several levels higher than the ordinary human brain. Great. In this way, human wisdom can develop and progress again, and in this way, researching anything will be twice as effective with half the effort. Unexpectedly, the genetic laboratory easily analyzed the genes of the most important organs of Martians. Lu Liang was delighted that human wisdom had been improved. Human genes and intelligent brain genes are fused. Simulation results acceptable. The brain is greatly improved, the head volume increases 3 times, and the average IQ increases from 100 to 180. Remind the host, if the fusion is confirmed, it needs to be matched with a relatively strong cervical vertebrae gene fragment, and the human body structure also needs to be readjusted, and the body needs to become stronger. The following image is a biological transformation simulation image. In an instant, in Lu Liang's consciousness, a short but huge-headed human appeared. The limbs of this human are also extremely strong, but the 5 slender fingers have become 4 short and thick fingers, and there is no hair on the bald big head. Compared with the huge head, the small eyes flashed with great doubts. Fuck, this is too outrageous. Is it getting stronger and bolder? Lu Liang saw the results of the simulation, and hesitated to choose to replace the genes of the intelligent brain. Although the IQ of humans can be significantly improved after the replacement, Lu Liang said he could not accept such a shape. But in the final analysis, aesthetics is not important now. His coordinates were exposed, even though he resisted the attack from Mars, and scared off some star souls with bad intentions. But who knows if there will be those star souls who don't believe in evil, and are bold enough to cause trouble for him? If he doesn't develop a strong enough civilization one day, he will never feel at ease. Blanche. Change. Lu Liang gritted his teeth, and was about to replace these genes for humans. Remind the host, if you are not satisfied with the simulation results, you can optimize it freely, but it will take time and genetic technology. It is recommended that the host transform a small number of humans first, and then replace all human genes after the technology is mature. Perhaps the system felt Lu Liang's entanglement and reminded him. Lu Liang's eyes lit up immediately. This is a good idea. Lu Liang immediately found a group of humans on an island around Eagle Country. There are not many of these humans, about more than 10,000. They live an isolated life on this island, and are still in the civilization state of primitive tribes. Lu Liang chose them because they were very close to the ship that fell on Mars. If their IQ improved rapidly, they might be able to study the ship earlier than other humans. The intelligent brain gene fragments are being integrated. Please rent and evolve enough spine and cervical vertebrae tissues and related muscles to make a head. There are no matching genes in the gene bank because other creatures basically crawl on all fours, and their spine tissues cannot be used on humans. Therefore, they can only be evolved through biological points. Lu Liang spent 500,000 biological points for these, and then spent another 50 years to adjust the stability of their genes and optimize their body structure. Finally, a group of new human species appeared on this island. They had big bald heads, and Lu Liang felt more and more uncomfortable and uglier the more he looked at them. After he couldn't bear it anymore, he spent 10 years to transplant a thick section of hair and beard for them, but the color didn't look very decent. It was green. The size of the head was also reduced by him, otherwise it would look too inconsistent. In this way, the thick hair covered the bald head and face, and Lu Liang felt more satisfied with it. Chapter 50 S-Class Gene. Host, please name the new creature. HMM. Lu Liang pondered for a moment, and came to the naming part. That gave him a headache. This new human is shorter than humans, so let's name it Dwarf. Congratulations to the host for creating a new creature, Dwarf, and hereby reward 500,000 biological points. These dwarves continue to live on the island and develop their own civilization, and Lu Liang is constantly optimizing their genes. The IQ of these dwarves is higher than that of humans. With such a high IQ, each of them is equivalent to a genius among humans. No matter what Lu Liang teaches them, they can learn it immediately and can draw inferences from one example. But unfortunately, their development also takes time. After telling them that they can develop freely, Lu Liang's consciousness returned to the star core. Now he has more important work to do. He has to analyze and study the genes of the Martian commander. This Martian with a huge head was the commander of the previous ship, and because he has a trace of star soul power, his head has also mutated. His body is more than 10 times larger than that of an ordinary Martian, and his head alone is much larger than that of other Martians. Moreover, he seems to be able to control gravity. Lu Liang thought of the time when he attacked him. He had operated some huge instruments to smash himself. In some ways, he was no longer an ordinary Martian. Could it be that creatures with the power of the star soul also have the ability to control the planet? Therefore, this Martian commander needs the system and Lu Liang to focus on analysis, and it would be best if they could find the secret deep in his genes. Trying to analyze the mutant intelligent creature. Analysis failed. Reason for failure: the body has the power of the star soul, which hinders analysis and decomposition. Host, please help decipher the star soul lock, so that the target creature's genes can be analyzed. The cold prompt sound of the system came to his mind. Lu Liang frowned. Even if the Martian commander died, could he still retain the power of the star soul in his body? Although it was only a trace, it also made Lu Liang fall into worry and confusion. This Martian commander can obtain the power of the star soul. Does that mean that other creatures can also obtain it? And it is even possible that some creatures can devour the star soul? Exclamation mark. The creatures on the planet become strong enough, and then the star soul loses control of them and devours itself. But after thinking for a moment, Lu Liang stopped his unfounded worry. The most important thing at present is to decipher the genes of this Mars commander and find out the secret of his mutation. Confirmed. Lu Liang stopped thinking about it and calmed down to decipher the genome of this commander. His consciousness then entered the gene research room of the system. When analyzing the Mars commander, Lu Liang magically observed that there was a breath surrounding him. It was this breath that forced the system to decompose his body and decipher the gene fragments. Lu Liang was very familiar with this breath. What else could it be but the power of the star soul? This strand of star soul, I don't know which unlucky guy's star soul fragment it is. His main body was absorbed by the Mars star soul, leaving only this trace of residual power, which was rewarded to him by the Mars star soul. Now Lu Liang is using his star soul power to absorb this strand of star soul power. Host, please absorb it carefully. If you make a mistake, it will cause the target organism's gene structure to be disordered, making it impossible to analyze the gene sequence. This strand of star soul power is still wandering in the body of the Mars commander. If Lu Liang wants, he can absorb it directly. But in doing so, this Mars commander is no longer worth studying. After all, the genes have collapsed, and the research results are all messy. Then he concentrated all his energy, and did not dare to be careless. It took Lu Liang more than 1,000 years to extract such a ray of star soul power. During these 1,000 years, Lu Liang only occasionally observed the situation on the planet to see how the civilization was developing. He also had to be alert to whether there was any invasion of star soul power or creatures. He learned a lesson from his mistakes and did not want the same thing to happen again as with the aliens. A full 1,000 years was just a blink of an eye for the star soul. The first star soul he devoured took him 80 million years. The power of the star soul has disappeared, and the target biological gene analysis has begun. Analyzing the target biological gene. Biological name, Martian, mutated. Analyzed S-level gene fragment, superbrain. Superbrain has very powerful performance, outstanding thinking and analytical abilities, fused into the biological gene body, can greatly improve its brain, significantly improve memory and thinking ability. In addition, the superbrain has a chance to mutate the fused organism, giving it the ability to use the power of heaven and earth. S-level gene fragment. The first time Lu Liang saw it, he smiled with all his white teeth exposed. He knew how powerful the S-level gene fragment was, because he had another S-level gene fragment, the energy heart. It is no exaggeration to say that Godzilla's rays and the dragon's fireballs played an extremely huge role in the battle against the Martian ships, all of which relied on their energy hearts. Now, Lu Liang has obtained another S-level gene fragment. And this gene fragment is a brain gene with a wide range of uses. The system's description of this gene said that if it mutates, it can give it the power of heaven and earth. What this means is that the creatures that fuse with this gene fragment have a chance to gain superpowers. This gene is too fierce. Simulate and analyze the compatibility of human genes and superbrains. As Lu Liang gave an order, the system prompt sound was transmitted to Lu Liang's mind. This terrifying computing power, how can his system be so awesome? But he didn't think much about it, but carefully studied the simulation results given by the system. Human genes and superbrain genes are fused. Simulation results, average, can exert 48.37% of the effect of the gene fragment. After humans fuse with this gene, they cannot perfectly exert energy, and the mutation rate is only 0.6%. After the gene fusion, the average IQ of the creature will be significantly improved. The appearance of the creature will not change, and the average IQ will increase from 100 to 150. This gene fragment, human creatures can only exert half of their abilities. The improved IQ, also because of the body shape, is not as much as that of an ordinary brain. After all, the head does not need to become bigger, and it can be improved so much, which is already good. Moreover, more importantly, this gene has a very important factor. That is, it can make people mutate, gain the power to control the world. In words that Lu Liang can understand, it is the ability to control the element of the planet. Just like the star Sol controls its own planet, but the difference in strength is as great as heaven and earth. And this so-called control of the power of heaven and earth, the control of the element of the planet, in layman's terms, is a superpower. The mutation rate of 0.6% does not seem to be very high. Probability is dead, but metaphysics is alive. The probability of one person mutating is 0.6%. Maybe about 6 out of 1,000 people mutate. But have you ever thought that probability and luck are contradictory? If you are lucky, there is a possibility that dozens of people will appear out of 1,000 people. If you are unlucky, there is also a possibility that none of the 1,000 people will appear. But there is also a crucial factor. That is the large number of humans. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.